still hungover from the not E3 parties that we totally were invited to, it's a Slice of Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Moonlight150, and this is Slice of Gaming podcast for June 14th, 2024. And we'd like to thank you for giving a slice of your time to a Slice of Gaming podcast. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Radio Public, and Audible. So it is post E3, like I said. We are still reeling in all the news, so we're going to be covering all of that, whatever was left over after all the showcases. And for that, we have the group here. We have the small group, the elite group, the few, the proud. We have Wolf.
Jeff Keeley's with me as well. Say hi, Jeff. He's shy.
We forgot to plug in his mic.
He's really shy right now. Come on, Jeff.
You're going to interpret.
He doesn't want to talk. Yeah, he doesn't want to talk right now. He says he's a fan of the podcast.
And we have Fusion.
This is probably the best group of four we can have, honestly. Shout out this four.
Oh, 5, Jeff Keeley.
Oh yeah, sorry, he was so silent I forgot he was here.
6 because of Craig. He holds this whole thing together.
True.
And we have Bob.
Yeah, I just got a text from a random number saying that I'm being held hostage in some guy's podcast recording room. Please help me. Please help me.
Let's get ahead.
Also, did you see how cool my sneakers are?
Dude, his sneakers were so fucking cool.
It was a nice pair of shoes.
He always has a great pair of sneakers.
He had a nice business casual look to him this year. I was into it.
So to wrap up all the after E3 news, we're going to turn over to Wolf for all the news.
Yes, we are currently reeling in from not E3. A lot of news came out, a lot of different interviews. We have a lot of previews to get to. I'm very excited to get through it all. But we want to start with the Xbox Showcase Aftermath. And the first thing on the docket is Phil Spencer had an interview with Ryan McCaffrey. And they actually went ahead and kind of did a tweet thread. And I'm going to read through it right now to kind of get the highlights of the interview and get y'all's thoughts. First off, on Gears of War E-Day, this was not an opportunity to take it back to the origin story. For those of us who remember the 360 commercial, how iconic was Mad World? They're staying true to the Gears story. Not a lot to say there. If you're excited for Gears, he very much is talking about that. And more interestingly is right here. On Doom Dark Ages coming to PS5, quote, Doom is definitely one of those franchises that has a history of so many platforms. It's a franchise that I think everyone deserves to play. And I kind of wanted to ask right off the bat, do you guys think the decision, the factor came into play that Doom is a legacy franchise that should be on all platforms? Or was this a situation where this is kind of the front-facing thing, but in reality, it's it makes the most sense. They want to try to get it to most platforms because, sales-wise, they would be missing out a lot on PS5 if it wasn't on there. Well, what do y'all think?
Pretty much that, where it's a bit of both. It is a legacy title to where they know there's a big audience for it on PlayStation and whatnot, so they're like, you know what, we're just gonna put it on PlayStation, rake in that money. I mean, there's really no downside to putting it on another console, at least when it comes to titles like this.
Colt Eastwood would like a word. That's all I'm gonna say there.
Did he tweet something about that?
I don't know. I tried to
probably did. Probably some remark that he put out there. Yeah, basically what Moon said is I think either way, this is the Xbox takes this as a win because they can say it's a legacy title and PlayStation fans deserve to play it because the other Dooms were on the console, blah blah blah, and they can spin that in a good way, which they could be telling the truth. But then on the back end, it's also they know they're going to get way more sales by doing this. So it's a smart business move, and it's a smart let's get people to like us again move. It's not like everyone hates Xbox, but it's basically a win-win for both sides where it's it's a legacy title. So we're going to put it on there probably with the other stuff that is down the line. Maybe if another Wolfenstein comes out or whatever, that would happen. But it's also hey, we're going to get a lot more money by putting it on the PlayStation.
Yeah, we're definitely on the same page there. Here's the more interesting thing, the one that got the headlines. Quote, on recent studio closures, quote, the closure of any team is hard. Now is the time to focus on the team and individuals because it's obviously very hard for them. I've said over and over again that I have to make hard decisions to run a sustainable business. And on integrating Activision Blizzard into the larger Xbox business, quote, the thing I'm starting to see that I really love is the organic cooperation between our teams that I really love. And then right here, another big part of this, Ryan, when you make a $70 billion accusation, do you start hearing from your bosses more? And then Phil responds, we are given a ton of leeway to run and grow our business, but the thing we challenged ourselves to do is to try and do new things. When I announced Game Pass, people said we were teaching people that games are free. And then another thing, unexpected challenge during the Activision Blizzard acquisition. Quote, for the management team, we all have the same job of running Xbox, but then we all added a second job of working through regulatory. It's my fault as head of business that we didn't internalize what a drain it would be on the team. I kind of want to ask, so this was kind of the big response. This is our first real response, other than the Sarah Bond interview that we're just going to pretend to forget, about the studio closures of Tango, of Red Arcane, Austin, Alpha Dog, and whatnot, as well as like kind of a response to like how the acquisition season, like, was it a good idea to acquire stuff? Kind of like Ryan McCaffrey definitely kind of gave him leeway with the question. Now, granted, I like watched the interview itself. Like, you could tell he was trying to like really probe in. It's kind of hard with execs. They're really trained to like listen to this type of stuff. I'll ask you guys right now, do you guys think this answer is adequate? Because I don't really think so.
No, it's just kind of, your standard PR trained answer. I don't think, Xbox has been burned a lot in the past by trying to be your friend and trying to be personable. And I think and you guys have talked about it before, where it's like, you can't be that like brand you just can't be a brand that's your best friend in general. But especially when you're laying off people and doing stuff like this, that really starts to bite you. And I think he's not just gonna sit there and give you the reason, because he doesn't necessarily have to. And that sucks, and I wish it was different. But like, I'm not like surprised that he didn't just give like a tell-all on why they did it.
Yeah, it definitely seems like one of those answers that we kind of just expected from the PR CEO type, where you're not going to get him to go exactly why, Satya told me this, like we needed to cut this amount of jobs, whatnot. Like, it's just, you're not going to get that. They're not going to get internally like that. I just think that, I don't know, like, should we expect more, or is this just the way it is? Because here's the thing, like, Sony will cut London studio, and the thing is that we don't expect Sony to talk about it. But what you said, Bob, Xbox is the best friend brand, so we're like, you should respond. When I think Xbox kind of realizes, it's like, maybe we shouldn't be responding to everything. Maybe we just don't need to answer these questions, because Sony doesn't. And let's be honest, people kind of forgot Sony cut London studio, and I'm still annoyed about it. I still think that's garbage that they did that, but because they never talked about it, it never came back up in the news again.
Yeah, and I think once we get to the end of the year, I unfortunately think that, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you take it, the news cycle goes so fast that this will start to fade, especially if it's one of those things where it's like, if Xbox starts doing, granted, we still have this cycle of they have good PR, bad PR, good PR, bad PR, and it's always a roller coaster. But I feel like it's one of those things where if they have a good release schedule this fall and things look good, then people are less likely to bring it up. But if these games fail, then they're going to bring up the negativity and start wondering if more studios are going to close. So but yeah, you're right. I don't think they have an obligation to speak, and they're probably realizing that we don't have to speak. It doesn't benefit anybody, and I think if we ever get an answer, it'll be someone like Jason Schreier.
For sure. What about the acquisition part? Any thoughts on that? Like, how they integrated Activision Blizzard, the weird, like, multi-year thing of like trying to acquire them. Any thoughts on like his response there?
And there's really nothing to say because we haven't really seen much of it outside of Call of Duty now on Game Pass. So we still get to see like what is their full intent of it, like how they're putting all these studios to work and whatnot.
Fair.
Yeah, I do wonder if like I do wonder what he means by that. Is it like, are they saying, oh, we could have managed Redfall and Starfield better, or like, because we all kind of like, when there were all of these kind of negative or questionable things that happened, a lot of people would point to the Activision, court case over the last 2 to 3 years and be like, oh, well, they've been so busy with this, or because of regulatory reasons they couldn't do this, and it's like, I don't know it's impossible to know what he could possibly be alluding to, other than I think it was just a much bigger task than they initially thought. And I wonder, outside of it obviously being a really big deal that probably took up a lot of their time, like what that actually meant, like what actually fell through the cracks, or what mistakes did they make that maybe we do know about the end result, like what were those things? But again, we're just not going to know.
For sure. Moving into the next big part of the interview, on Xbox handheld rumors, and this is kind of the last thing I want to bring up. I don't want to quote. I don't want to say anything, but the future for us in hardware is pretty awesome. Today was about the games, but we'll have time to come out and talk more about the platform. And then, if the Xbox handheld did exist, would it be able to play without an internet connection? And then Phil, quote, I think the ability to play a game locally is very important. Do you guys think he's kind of just soft confirming the handheld at this point?
I think it's at least along the lines of there's a prototype out there, most likely. Don't know. Maybe they're not entirely convinced on the idea, but I'm pretty sure a prototype exists of some kind.
For sure.
I don't know if I'm alone, but to me, Xbox has been so weird lately, especially this year, talking about their hardware, where I'm like, it makes me truly believe that like those rumors of, hey, the next gen Xbox 2026, like it might actually be real, and Xbox might be trying to get like the jump start on, hey, we're like going to put out the next gen version of console, like we're gonna move on already. Like I don't know, it's just weird that like PlayStation, obviously, they're not going to say much about it. Like, we know we're supposed to get a Pro this year, and they haven't even said a word about hardware. And then, like, Xbox is over here. This is twice or three times now, just this year, where they're already talking about, like, next gen and hardware. And I'm just like, I don't know, it's a little strange to me that they're so openly speaking about, like, their projects in the works.
It feels like they want to have that Xbox 360 moment again, where they kind of launched the next generation, like, a year before Nintendo and Sony did. And it was this big deal of like, oh, this is the first place to get a next-gen console. Maybe they want to try that strategy again because it worked out for them that time. Just a hunch, honestly. But I don't know. I just feel like it'd be a weird PR thing to go, hey, here's the next gen of consoles, when I feel like a lot of the industry right now is like, has this generation of consoles really even started?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, I mean, also too, I think Phil and like genuinely like Xbox throughout his tenure on hardware specifically are the biggest teases on earth. I feel like we always like Scorpio, Series X, and now obviously the whatever next gen and the handheld could be. They love teasing that stuff, and they love talking about it because I feel like it's just, well, we don't want to talk about our current console sales, so let's talk about the future. You know, it always kind of comes off that way, at least to me. But yeah, as far as like the handheld specifically, I do think that they're probably seriously considering one. But you know, the other thing I was thinking about was that that cylindrical concept that we saw that leaked in the FTC documents. That was supposed to be
digital.
Yeah, that was like supposedly all digital and like kind of an upgrade, but not really. And it's like, did they cancel that one? You know, I mean, they clearly had marketing images and mock-ups and everything. So it's like, you know, these things can get canceled on the fly. And for right now, there might be a handheld that exists, but that could obviously be canceled in the future, depending on where the market and where kind of sentiment goes. But I think Phil probably wants one, and if they keep talking about trying to add, like, you know, his desire to want Steam and other platforms on Xbox, I think something like a handheld would go a long way to making that more of a reality.
Yeah, and I feel like when it came to those marketing images, you say, I think just those got canned because like those were old images. Apparently those documents from like 2020, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I bet like their plans just changed substantially, and they're like, okay, we don't need to drastically change the console design. Let's just make it, the same console design but without a disk drive. Because I don't know why anyone would want that. Honestly, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
Like,
I think maybe at a time where if they expected the hardware to be better, it'd be more enticing, but maybe sales are, just not what they expected it to be. So it's like, why even bother? Like who's really, like you said, who's really gonna want a circular Xbox instead?
yeah. But yeah, that was everything from that interview. There was actually one other thing from the interview. Shinobi has this. More Xbox first-party games are coming to other platforms, says Xbox boss Phil Spencer. Quote, "You are going to see more of our games on more platforms, and we see that as a benefit to the franchises that we're building." Simple question. I mean, do we expect this like rate of Xbox games to come at a much faster rate of fire? Because I don't know if you guys saw, Sea of Thieves was the most popular game on PlayStation in May. So I think Xbox kind of looks at that and goes, "Okay, this like strategy is working for us."
Yeah. I mean, as I've been saying on this podcast for a while now, it's Microsoft has secretly thrown in the towel and just be like, okay, we're gonna do what makes us money. And if shortening that window to lessen the time period between game goes on Xbox to another console, it just makes the most money sense. Strike while the iron's hot, while the game is popular and is most likely going to sell. Like putting a game out on PlayStation 2 years later, outside of some like diehards, you're probably not going to get that much return on investment. So like a 6-month window probably will.
Yeah, that God, I truly still don't know what the strategy is, but it does feel like, kind of how PlayStation, and granted, PlayStation has slowly, I feel like the content stream to PC has been faster, more and more. I feel like Xbox probably would prefer a more long sustained revenue stream between all of these games rather than a short shotgun blast, because I mean, honestly, if you look at their game release schedule for their first party new games, like there's a lot coming out soon. So I don't know like why financially you would do it where it's like if you release Gears and Halo in quarter 4 of this year, and then you have Avowed and Indiana Jones, you're gonna have a great financial corner. It's like, oh, awesome. And then next year, if you only have like 2 fall releases and you have nothing left to port to PlayStation for that extra revenue, it's gonna be like, well, revenue's down again and profits are down. Now we got to lay off 4 more Bethesda studios. I joke, but
Which
it's like,
dead. It's
yeah,
like, sorry,
right.
Machine Games.
Yeah, so it's like I think they would rather prefer a consistent revenue stream to bump up like slow cycles, because I mean they seem to be pretty consistent with a release schedule of first party games now, but I think this is one of those shot in the arms when there is a big gap.
Yeah, that makes sense, is to plan out a schedule to where here's our releases, here's a lull in our releases, but you know what? We can take our old stuff, slap the PlayStation logo on it, and look, revenue.
Yeah, and like I we've talked about this before when Sea of Thieves and Grounded and Hi-Fi Rush and everything came to PlayStation. It's like, yeah, I'm sure there are some people who maybe didn't have a lower opinion of Xbox or have like distrust or are wondering what the future is. I feel like overall it kind of came and went, and it just happened to have more sales on PlayStation, and Xbox is still alive and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So I just don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Moving into our next piece of Xbox news. This is a tiny one I just thought was interesting. Steven Totila has this Black Ops 6 info via my chat with Treyarch. So first 3 things I just want to ask real quick. So campaign is length of classic COD campaign, 4 years dev times, including switch to unified COD engine, and no news on cloud. Any thoughts on those? Because I think the 4th bullet point is the more interesting thing. Okay, cool.
I was not really, other than it's just cool to see that it's 4 years is the longest that any dev team has been allowed to work on a Call of Duty. So hopefully that gives me better game.
Hopefully. But the interesting thing to me was dodged on franchises Nintendo plans. Now, obviously, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I kind of thought about that as like, is it actually ever going to come to like Nintendo platforms like Switch or Switch 2? Or was that just kind of a thing they said just for the FTC trial? Because I don't know truly what it meant when they said like COD will come to Nintendo platforms. If that was like, we are setting this as a guarantee it has to come to Nintendo, or it was like, oh yeah, we'll think about it. I don't know if you guys remember specifically about that FTC trial, because that's just, I don't know how you would make like a modern COD run on maybe even Switch 2. Maybe it does. I mean, this game's coming to PS4 and Switch 2 is apparently supposed to be around that power level. So I don't know. It's a weird thing.
I feel like the dodginess is because I would imagine it's going to work on Switch 2, and they just can't talk about Switch 2 yet because Nintendo hasn't even talked about Switch 2.
So Black Ops 6 is the one that's on Switch 2, you think?
It could be. I mean, it could be like a maybe. I'm trying to look it up, but I would imagine maybe if it's within the year window of release, that they can have it like 6 months later when the Switch 2 would theoretically launch, or even a year, right before the next COD. But yeah, I'll have to look it up again, but just off the top of my head, I just figured it's because they can't talk about Switch 2.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that makes
definitely
sense.
possible because it's like, as we keep saying with PlayStation, now that they own Call of Duty, it's like, okay, well, here's the biggest franchise in the world, the biggest money maker. Let's put it on more consoles, so we can make more money. So it just makes sense. Like if it's totally possible, and their research says, you know what, there is an audience for Call of Duty on Switch. I don't know how you research that, but I'm pretty sure they have some way to. But they're going to, and if they think it's a financial benefit to them, they're going to do it. So I think it's totally within the realm of possibility.
I've always said, I'm probably gonna end up wrong one day, but I've always said that it's never gonna come to Switch. I never believed that like it's coming to like Switch 2. I'm sure it can run it, but isn't there like a whole thing about how like Nintendo Online is horrible? Like how that entire system is just god awful. So like
It's
it seems like a headache to get a Call of Duty and online working on that system.
It's like, so Fusion, I want you to understand, Nintendo Switch Online works really well for specific games. You try to play Splatoon or Pokemon, pretty good. Smash, good luck.
Even Pokemon, God, I hate doing the Terra raids that you need to, like 7-star raids that you need to do with other people. It is the most miserable experience of all time.
You know that's because Scarlet and Violet is the way it is, Bob. You know that's the
No, I genuinely think it's because, like, I mean, yes, those are poorly made games, but I don't think Nintendo's doing any favors with how they make that online.
No, for sure.
I'm just saying, it's like have voice chat?
No. It does not have voice chat. You need to use your phone.
Yeah.
Wait, have you ever seen like the graphic fusion of how you do voice chat on a Switch? It's the funniest thing of all time.
They looked you in the face and just said, "Hey, use this instead of Discord."
Use this phone app.
That's probably. I feel like they're networking and just like, let alone the power. Whether if the Switch 2 is as powerful as like a PS4, Xbox One era, like I'm sure it could work. Like it would probably not run amazing, but like it would work. But it's just like I feel like there's so much from like network and just everything else where it's just like I don't see. I understand you're gonna put it on something that's gonna sell. And like it would probably sell a decent amount on the Switch, but at the same time, I would guarantee the headache as a dev to make that thing work on the Switch, or like to get that thing in a working capability where you're like, this is actually a good port that people want to buy. I just feels like would be such a headache where it's just like I would rather not even. We already make billions of dollars. Who cares?
It is also funny. It's just like, okay, what about this, Fusion? They pull a reverse Black Ops 3, where remember Black Ops 3 on PS3 and 360, where it was like only multiplayer and zombies, and it was a horrible port.
Yes.
What if they pull the reverse and say, "Oh, you get campaign and zombies on the Switch port"?
I could see a campaign thing happening because it's also like I understand you can dock your Switch and play with your Pro controller, but like I just can't imagine being a Switch player and trying to compete in a Call of Duty multiplayer lobby. Like that can't be fun. Like I just can't imagine it.
With that,
they might have their own dedicated servers.
Yeah, they might have.
I
Their own
know, but exactly. So if they have their own dedicated servers, you're only playing with Switch players. Like you're taking crossplay. Every other system has crossplay and can play with each other. And now as a Switch user, you're stuck only playing against Switch players. It just sounds like an entire headache
playing
not to
the
do.
sandbox, the kids table.
For what it's worth, I just looked it back up. So I thought it was like the 10-year agreement, like PlayStation, but PlayStation has the 10-year parity agreement. Yeah, it just says they made an agreement with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Switch. That's it. So I guess we don't know any more details on that, so we know it should come eventually. But for all we know, maybe, I mean, this is real wishful thinking, but maybe Nintendo figured out Switch online infrastructure for Switch 2, and they're
Nah,
gonna
brother,
roll out new
Nintendo. They did
servers.
not. They did not, brother. They've been
I know. Let a
struggling
man
with
dream.
online. They've been struggling with online since the Wii and DS. They're like, we cannot figure this out.
Yeah, they made PictoChat. They're like, we're done. We don't need to go any further.
I love Nintendo, but god awful online is like a specialty with them.
You need to ask Scott the Woz, like, how was Call of Duty on the Wii U?
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, there you go. Ghosts and Black Ops 2 was on Wii U. Actually, I heard those are actually really good ports. Like, surprisingly speaking.
There was even like Modern Warfare on the DS.
Oh yeah, and Modern Warfare 2, and that's so many weird things like that. Moving on. Avowed got an extended Xbox game showcase, the Xbox podcast thing. Bob, you're the only one who watched it, I think. But Okami Games has some
skimmed through
details. Oh, okay. Moon skimmed through it. Me and Fusion didn't get the time to watch it, but hey, I mean, Bob was screaming about this. Bob, how you feeling about Avowed after that?
Oh my god. Okay. So I was working when it came out, so I couldn't see it until afterwards. But I remember Fusion like tagged me and was like, why didn't they show like bits and pieces of this at instead of the story trailer at the showcase? And I'm like, okay, that, I couldn't watch it then. I was like, okay, that's interesting that he's saying that. And then I went home and watched it, and I'm like, oh my god, why did they not show this at the showcase? Because we already got a couple story trailers. I think everyone, to an extent, I mean, a basic level, knows what's going to happen in the game. But like that, the deep dive actually showed us like real gameplay with UI, with character choices, with dialogue, with different, you can go, they have an objective and you can do it two different ways, and they both have their different outcomes. They showed the upgrade tree, they showed skills, they showed like dynamic lighting within the world. They gave you more context, and it's like, okay, I get it. We were never going to get a Call of Duty, or we were never going to get a direct or afterwards because of Call of Duty, and there was no real other way to show off all that information until after the show. But screw the cinematic trailer, or not even cinematic, story trailer that they put in the show. They should have just shown clips and be like, hey, watch the podcast on Tuesday for more. Just cut like how Ubisoft did the, hey, here's like bits and pieces of Assassin's Creed, go watch the forward on Monday. I don't know why they didn't just do that with this.
Yeah, it was a really weird situation. I was reading through some of Okami games, like he got some notes about it, and there's some good shit here. Third person camera confirmed, which I mean
That should have been like on day one.
Well, I mean, like it's an Obsidian game, which is basically those are Bethesda games. So yeah, not surprising at all. But there's some cool stuff here. Weapons will get new animations, sound effects as you upgrade them, multiple ways to get through barriers, dialogue trees with skill checks tied to specific attributes. That gets my RPG brain tingling.
Oh yeah, like the quest that they showed and like the multiple ways you can do the dialogue is crazy.
Companions can banter with each other in addition to the player, which I just love. I love when companions just like talk to each other in RPGs.
Yeah, I was gonna actually bring that point up during the interview. You make like camp. I don't know if it's dynamic or it's like static, like little home bases on each place that you visit. But in the camp, that's where you upgrade and do all those things. And I forget who was there from Obsidian, but I think it was the game director actually, and she said that in camp is when, you know, you'll do your banter, you'll get unique character dialogue that'll have you learn more about the people you're with. But then the farther you go in the game, if you make choices that they don't agree with, they're going to let you know. And I think they're in, like, even between like the two companions, they're going to like bicker with each other about what the right decision is. And I feel like that brings like a sense of, you know, realness to the game where it's just like, you know, oh, I mean, I could choose this, but I really like this one companion. I don't want to piss, you know, him off. So maybe I'll be swayed to do something else. And I love that kind of stuff because it was done really well in the Outer Worlds.
Now, Fusion, I know you said earlier today, quote, Avowed has looked like the least talented people at Bethesda left the studio, went to Obsidian, and let's make our own fantasy game. But does any of those details get
That
you
was
in more
private
interested?
information. That was private, and
The Discord is leaking.
no, that was mostly a joke. I said it. I think every podcast that one podcast I'm in, like one event I'm in, I'm like, okay, Avowed, I'm in on Avowed. The next event, I'm like, I'm out on Avowed. The next event, I'm in and I'm out. I'm so back and forth on this game. I think it's not even Avowed's fault. We're gonna talk about the game later, where I think Dragon Age coming out later this year genuinely like blocked Avowed out of my mind, where it's like the first gameplay section of Avowed, I mean of Dragon Age I saw, I was like, this is just everything I want out of what I wanted when I saw Avowed. And I understand they're going for totally different things, but like as the fantasy, you're both a fantasy RPG. I look at Dragon Age, I'm like, you're telling me everything exactly what I want. And when I look at Avowed, I'm like, you're telling me half of what I want. Like that third person camera is awesome. I wanted it. But we all know it's like Bethesda games,
You're not meant to play it
they're
in
not.
third
You're not meant
person.
to play in a third person, and I know that. And I saw they showed that off, and I'm like, that's awesome. But I guarantee it's going to feel so like as a gimmick when I actually try to play it this way. So it's like I can't even get super excited about that third person mode, where like their other competitors are third person. So like just for me as a player, it's like I want to be so in on Avowed, and like for one, that cover art every time I see the box art, I'm like, this is
So good.
sick. Like it's such a sick cover art, maybe the best of the year, but there's just so many things still where like even I watched some of this deep dive and even still some of that melee combat just still looks so bad to me where I'm like, am I gonna be forced to play like as a ranged character or like a mage or like bow and arrow because I think the sword gameplay is that bad, or like I'm still
Probably.
not. Yeah, exactly. And it's like that's not the way I want to play your fantasy RPG. Like if you're like your combat's got to be good. Like let's make it at least up. Like you know what I mean. So it's like there's still like choices mattering and all that. Like that's awesome, and I really hope this game nails it. And I still want to be excited, and I still want to jump into this game. It's just it seems the further along we get towards like release and where like I'm going to be playing this game, the less excited I am, and it's just like that sucks to feel.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. There's definitely been, just generally speaking, still some like hesitation from a lot of people when talking about Avowed. And I think that's totally fair. You know, the Pillars of Eternity universe is not very well known. There are still, to this day, people that only have that original concept video from 2020 or 2021 stuck in their head, and then they're like, oh, this is supposed to be Skyrim, and they just haven't seen anything
2020.
else about the game, and they're, you know, like holding that against them. And so I understand it. I think Avowed definitely has a larger hill to climb in perception wise, but you know, the Obsidian fans, we're gonna eat, and that's all I really care about.
Yeah, and I'm genuinely like I hope all like I've never played an Obsidian game, so that's what I tried to explain a few days ago in the Discord where it's like you can sit there as an Obsidian fan and know why to be excited. I can't. I can't come in here from an Obsidian mindset and be like, oh, well, I've played this and this and that. I know how these games work. I'm coming from a pure, never touched an Obsidian game. I'm coming from the outside. This looks interesting, but I have so many questions. I just think I'm sure it's not going to matter at the end of the day. It really won't. But I would love an inside look on Obsidian when they're sitting there and they have this big fantasy RPG coming out this fall, and then like Dragon Age just comes out of nowhere, and they're like also word dropping this fall, and it's just like immediately you're gonna have fantasy versus fantasy, probably around very close in the same time, and it's like I'm sure any dev at that is just like we worked so long in this fantasy game, and another very similar fantasy game is also coming out, that's probably just annoying to deal with.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Gorilla and the Horizon devs to see how they feel.
Yeah. Luckily for them, like those games are totally different, but yeah, it does happen to them.
Who cares about Avowed? Metal Gear Solid Delta got a podcast episode. Might go. I watched it. Not a lot of info, but
Yeah,
I
so it
don't
was a
care.
very disappointing deep, not even with deep dive. Like, I don't even know if I
They
can call it
didn't. It was just three
No,
guys.
there's nothing to dive.
talking.
they dived into a pond that was frozen.
It was shallow waters.
Listen, all that matters is they just added legacy style, which is you can apply a filter to the screen to make it more look like the original game if you want to get that original style, the original vision, which is really cool. And you have the overhead camera, which is the very original version of MGS3, even before the subsistence version. So that's sick. But yeah, no, really there was no new details. Everything else we knew about Genki had a good write up of like kind of everything we know right now. The one thing I will say that was interesting, they did kind of confirm it's like they decided on MGS3 being first because it is the first game in the timeline. I think that was kind of something we all assumed. It was fair to say, but yeah, I'm just excited for this game. I don't want Fusion to play it. Can I be honest with you guys?
Okay, well,
Oh,
that's kind of crazy.
I just feel like you won't appreciate it. It's a 10 out of 10 game, and I feel like you won't appreciate it, right?
I'm
you'll
sure
have
I'll directly compare it to how the stealth isn't as good as Hitman. But,
You're gonna say that. You're gonna say that, even though I know for a fact it's better than Hitman. But still, no, nothing against Hitman. Hitman's a goat too. You know, they act like two legends can't coexist. But I'm just saying, like,
I should
really
be all
hope-
that. Well, I should. You understand? Stealth's like my favorite combat. Like, why would I not like this video game?
I'm just scared, Fusion. I'm scared of anyone playing legitimately my favorite franchise. So
I was gonna say, I feel like Bench is the one you gotta be scared about.
oh yeah, of course I'm scared of Bench, but like that's a given.
Sure, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you gotta
see,
think, yeah,
that's the difference. Is like he doesn't care what Bink scores it. He cares a little bit what I say.
yeah, that's
my
that's
thing.
fair.
Where like, if Bench says something stupid, yeah, whatever, it's Bench. If Fusion says to me, like, if he DMs me, if he hits me with a DM that just says so MGS3 with ellipses, I'm like, oh god, it's over.
Well, I will say,
I think you'll like it though.
So I listened to that interview, and I know they've mentioned this before, but the one thing that got a pop out of me, because it was the first time I was hearing about it, one of the interviewers asked, like, what is the significance about the Delta? And the director, I forget who was there for Konami, but yeah, producer. He said the Delta symbol was chosen because its meaning fits the concept of the remake project. Delta means change or difference without changing structure. And I'm just like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. That is a great video game ass answer.
That is literally the most Kojima answer he could have given, and I'm just like, oh, we're in right hands now.
Yeah.
It was interesting because like I remember when we talked about it initially, Fusion said something. He was just like, oh, weren't you like really down on this remake? And I'm not joking when I say this trailer was the one that sold me on it. Like I was so like scared of this remake and like what Konami was going to do with it. But everything I saw in this trailer was like, oh, it's the original voices. It's pretty much 1-to-1, just new controls and everything. I'm in.
Yeah, like the trailer even kind of sold me. I'm like, oh, maybe I could check this out.
I'm excited for people. I'm excited for people to experience Metal Gear for the first time because I want people to understand this is actually like one of the best stories in gaming. Is just the Metal Gear Solid like saga.
Well, I don't want to scare you, but I did buy the collection.
Oh, I saw
a little, yeah.
you're
Also,
not gonna play it, so that's okay.
Okay, yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that I don't get to it because my backlog's so crazy. But I also want to point out something. I know Dark has mentioned this multiple times where he was like, "Oh, the collection's crap. It's a terrible port. It's a terrible port."
The collection is good now. They fixed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, from everything I read, it's like they did what they could. I mean, yeah, is it what people probably wanted? No, but it's not like the GTA trilogy where they just use AI to up-res everything. So
it was a horrible collection at launch, but
right.
This year was like, oh no, it's actually a really good way to play those games now. And I mean, hey, 3 of some of the greatest games of all time in that collection. Just maybe one day we'll get 4. I just think that's weird that 4 is still stuck on PS3, but hey. God
Volume
bless you,
2, baby.
Well, yeah, if that's ever going to happen. Anyways, there were other Xbox podcast deep dives on Indiana Jones, Ara History Untold, Age of Mythology, and World of Warcraft. Any thoughts on those? I didn't put them because I just don't think there were many details, and I'm not biased as hell like I am with Metal Gear. So,
No, it's like once the report came out and the fact they didn't put a release date, I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to check this out. Then there's no point in me watching this because it feels like a game where if you are interested in it, you should probably go in it as blind as possible because so far all the trailers have been long cinematic cutscenes. I'm like, no, I kind of want to experience these in the game. So either do a gameplay deep dive or give a little hype trailer that gives the release date, or I'm not going to watch it because I want to go in as blind as possible.
for Indiana Jones, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to make
Yeah,
sure.
I was thinking the
didn't know
same
if you're
thing. I'm
talking
like, he didn't say what game it is, but I think I know what he's talking
about
about.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, right.
I
Yeah.
know it's
Which
actually
hey,
Our History Untold.
yeah, right.
You're right.
I'm the same way.
Is it indie at the beginning? Okay.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I
Oh,
thought
no, that was it.
I thought I said it. Yeah, I thought I said indie, but I guess maybe I didn't.
Yeah, to go off of that, I did listen to the interview with Machine Games, 2 of the people that worked on it, and there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, they just showed game footage from the trailers we've seen, both from the developer direct and from the showcase, and kind of just how excited they are to work on it and how it's all coming together and their experience with Wolfenstein, how that's different here. The only thing I really got out of it was apparently Troy Baker has been phenomenal with playing Indy and also because he's doing full motion capture, so also acting as Indy. He's obviously doing a great voice, so they're really happy with that. And then the only other thing that I kind of and Moon kind of touched on it is I'm getting a little scared that we're watching Hellblade marketing all over again because
God bless.
yeah, and it's like it's a crazy comparison, but like I think in the sense that I don't think this game is going to be as long as we think. And they can only show us so much because there's not that much to show. Now, will it be a 6 to 7 hour game? No, I don't think so. But I do wonder why we haven't seen a whole lot, and that part does start to scare me.
I wouldn't be too surprised if it was 6 to 7, honestly, because Wolfenstein 2 is an 11-hour video game. Like Machine Games makes short games. So I don't think it's actually that out of the ordinary if it was super short. Now, granted, it just depends on what they do with that shortness. If it feels substantial enough to make you be like, oh, well, I don't regret that time. I think that was a good use of good pacing and whatnot. But hey, who knows? I don't think it's gonna be a thing of we've seen too much of the game. I doubt it because I feel like those cutscenes that they have shown us are so long that it's almost like, okay, maybe they just want to sell us on the cinematic aspect of the game. And other than Hellblade, I mean, has there really been a more cinematic game from Xbox? So maybe they're just unsure how to market a more cinematic game the way Sony markets Uncharted and whatnot. Am I wrong? Is there another cinematic franchise for Xbox, or is it really just Hellblade and now Indiana Jones here?
I heard that one Crackdown game's pretty cinematic.
God bless.
Honestly, Infinite was shockingly cinematic for.
Okay, but that's Halo. You knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, right. But it's like it was weirdly more cinematic than in games past. But obviously, that's not even Hellblade level, and I think this is up there with Hellblade level. So yeah, on that level, no, I don't think so.
We will see. I'm excited for it. Still no date fully. I think probably we'll see something either at Gamescom or around that time period.
Yeah, the devs said end of the year. They just reconfirmed that.
Okay, it's December 1st. Hey guys, look what's coming out in 2 weeks. What?
Yeah.
Next up, Ubisoft had a showcase on Monday. I feel like it was funny when I was making this doc. I genuinely forgot about the Ubisoft showcase. I'm not the Ubisoft guy, so I don't know if it's fair for me to even rank it or score it. I just watched it. was expecting new reveals, didn't really get any. Other than, what was it, Anno? Hell yeah, man. And I guess the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake coming in 2026, God bless. But, I mean, I'll ask the Ubisoft fan here, Fusion, how are you feeling about that showcase? Were you satisfied?
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I think it was better than last year's showcase, which I guess doesn't say much. But they showed their two big hitters in Outlaws and Shadows. And I like the way they did it, where they both games got like genuinely a 20-minute deep dive, but it also felt like everything else that showed up didn't need to show up. It was almost like you had an entire showcase just for these two games, and then you had to fill like the last 20 minutes with like they did like a bunch of compilations and just like threw things up on the screen, and like X Defiant was there for a few minutes, and like they just did things that like wasn't hitting. So it's like, but they were all just like fillers to get you to see Outlaws and Shadows. So like I think as a showcase overall, it was just like it was like fine. It wasn't terrible. There's been worse showcases out there, and I think like for what it was, people were really excited about Outlaws and Shadows. So like they're probably happy with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like an hour long too, so it's hard to get that mad.
yeah, it's basically what it needed to be. A little sloppily structured, but yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, Ubisoft has their two big games for the holiday. Yeah, they're gonna focus on it and do exactly what we've been saying, like just for the Xbox shows. Like, no, we want deep dives of this stuff, and they actually did that. Ubisoft is the one showcase that did a deep dive on their big upcoming games. So round of applause to Ubisoft for that. But besides that, yeah, it's just kind of quota. They met the quota, I guess, if we want to call it that.
I guess it was funny. I don't remember who tweeted it. I think it was Shire. About like, oh yeah, this is like the crowd reactions to all these games, and they were like all Ubisoft fans, so they got excited for everything except when Skull and Bones was on the screen, and everyone just kind of went silent.
Yeah, I don't know why there was such a, I don't know, negativity. I mean, negativity is not the right word, but just like, I guess, bummer mentality towards this showcase, because it's like they were very clearly like, if you care about Assassin's Creed or Star Wars Outlaws, watch this show. Otherwise, I guess watch it if you're bored. And I guess the Prince of Persia. I
no.
can't think of the what's the Metroidvania.
Oh,
Lost Crown. Like they were teasing the DLC
I'm
for
not
that
joking.
beforehand.
I'm not joking. I was about to say the Warrior Within.
Okay, not that one.
Sorry.
But I thought like they did exactly what they were supposed to do, and like you guys are saying, they were really good deep dives, and like I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like I like that Avatar got like a DLC update. I like that they spent. Granted, the X-Defiant trailer wasn't that great, so I didn't like that, but I like that we were getting an update there. I liked
the game.
I like that they they're still like against all odds wanting to support Skull and Bones, and like the Crew Motorfest got something, and then there was that Battle Core Arena, which I literally had never heard of until I saw a 5-second clip of it. So like I thought it was like I mean, it's still a 7. It's not like it blew me away. It was like they did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, they did their job, and it was a good job. It's like give them a pat on the back. That's like kind of what the showcase it was like. Good job.
Yeah, they didn't mess it up. I think, in my opinion.
I will say the deep dive sold me on Star Wars more.
Yeah, I mean that's what I want to get into right now. How are those deep dives? Would you guys say you were absolutely sold on either of the games shown off there?
Yeah, I think they both. I mean, we already saw. Well, I guess not really Shadows. We didn't see that much, but like, so Shadows was the real question mark coming into this. But on Outlaws, I was already pretty sold. This just sold me more, and then I think Shadows had a really good showing as well. So I think both the deep dives did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah,
I'm in a weird spot where I am unfortunately burnt out on Assassin's Creed, so I really can't bring myself to get excited for it. So I was kind of zoning in and out on that deep dive. But again, I don't think they showed anything bad or anything where I was like, oh, I definitely, there might be a point where that burnout stops and I'll be excited to play this. So it's not like it didn't sell me on the game. I'm just not in a position to really be excited for any Assassin's Creed right now. But as far as Outlaws goes, I mean, me and Fusion have been talking about it for a while. It's like we've really been looking forward to that, and that deep dive was, in my opinion, fantastic, because I think, and also just kind of the bits of news we've heard since then, that's coming out, I think they really are making a well-rounded game, and I'm just so excited for that one in particular.
Yeah, it's funny. Fusion, we talked about it last week. I think it was last week, where you asked me just straight up, it's like, is there anything Star Wars Outlaws can do to get me excited? And like, I was like really hoping this showcase would be it. And like, I don't think it's possible for it. Like, it was a good showcase. Genuinely, it was a great showcase for that game. I don't think I could get into this game. Like, it's just not a thing for me. I kind of realized I think I'm just not really Star Wars at all interested in that universe anymore. I am intrigued by like a lot of the systems. I think that it's going to be a great game, but it's just not something that's grabbing me. But like Bob, I'm the exact opposite. Like Shadows really hooked me. That actually was a great gameplay demonstration. And I am kind of looking at it as like, oh damn, I get to be the samurai and the ninja. Like that is a cool playstyle, because I was one of those people that played Ghost of Tsushima where I was just constantly switching between both playstyles, and I love that type of choice where it's like, okay, you can go for the insta kills with the assassin, or you can just be a brute heavy force with Yasuke the samurai. It's like that is a very exciting prospect for me as someone who likes to kind of go into situations like, okay, let me try out all the possible options. What's the best way to go through this? I hope there's like maybe like certain missions where it's like, oh, you play both at the same time. You're constantly switching between them to get through maybe like a castle or something. In that way, like that gets my mind racing of like the possibilities there. Having said all that, I don't think this would be a day one purchase for me, but like I look at it, I'm like, wow, no, I will play this game. Like for sure, I will play this video game.
It's going to be a day zero purchase. You're going to get that like version that's 3 days early.
Okay, buddy.
Day zero, you're going to be there before the day one, guys.
That's day -3.
Whatever.
Yeah, see, that's kind of like my thing about it right now is it's coming at such a weird time where it's like I'm interested, but I don't want. It's such a Ubisoft game to where I don't want to be there day one because of its Ubisoftness, and I'm not totally sold on that. I mean, there is definitely positives about, like they said, the main story is about 30 hours long. But I feel like if I don't do it at launch, where I have a pretty free September, if I wait till like, Black Friday or something where it's knocked down $20-$30, there's all these other games I'm going to get to. So it's like, do I wait and let it be surrounded by a bunch of other games, or do I just bite the bullet and get it at launch and play it to where I'm not being surrounded by other things?
Yeah, I feel like you said the quiet part out loud for me, Moon, where I'm like, the real reason I'm not getting a day one is because it's a Ubisoft game, and I know for a fact it's going to be on sale in like a couple weeks. So it's like, yeah, I can wait. But no, I mean, like, I am intrigued. Do you guys? I kind of asked this. Do you think this either Shadows or Outlaws has the chance of being GOTY contenders, or is there just something about them that would prevent them from being in that conversation? Other than, let's not even talk about Shadows release dates for TGAs, by the way. We won't mention that part.
Shadows would have to do something entirely different to get up there, because Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the one that really like drove home, oh, Assassin's Creed is now this big open world RPG. And it's a really good one at that. And that's why it got nominated. Plus, I also think that was kind of a weaker year. I'm not entirely sure.
No, 2018.
No, that was a very good year. That was with God of War and Red Dead.
Red Dead. Monster Hunter World.
Two games.
No, Monster Hunter World.
Spider-Man.
Okay, never mind.
3-4.
Friday the 8th, the 13th.
Friday
This
the
is 18th.
I'm sorry, I don't fucking watch that movie. God damn
Bro
it.
hates that number.
But yeah, so it's like this Odyssey was a really good game on top of being a reinvention of an old franchise that got a lot of its attention. So Shadows would have to do something really different, I think, to get that kind of recognition again. Star Wars, if it delivers on a lot of the stuff it's promising, I think it could. Like, everyone's gonna be like, this is a Ubisoft game, because so far a lot of the stuff in it doesn't have that Ubisoft weakness that a lot of other games do. So if it keeps that up and actually delivers, and nothing else comes out that like really blows up people, it could, like, it might.
If you asked me, like, if you had to put a bet on which one of these games would be Game of the Year contender, I would put it on Outlaws. More like, Moon, you hit a point where it's like, Odyssey reinvented the franchise, and like it was a very good Western RPG, so like it was up there for Game of the Year and deserved it. But like, I don't see Shadows has some really cool concept stuff that like will be awesome, and like the stealth looks really cool, and like I'm sure they're gonna nail it. But Shadows seems to me like that story is just not gonna like. There's something still about an Assassin's Creed story that's just like never Game of the Year fully material. Where I feel like Outlaws can really come out here and be like, hey, this is the first open world Star Wars game. This is a unique story, not an Assassin's Creed story. This is a unique Star Wars story. And it just has, it has more give to it. It has more like I've been saying for like a year, it just has more prestige, I feel like, than a normal Ubisoft game for some reason. So if I had to like put money on which one of these games could come in 6 months and show up by the TGA, I just feel like Star Wars Outlaws would be the better chance. And we see like Jedi Survivors last year, and like Star Wars games get nominated if they're good. So
Yeah,
Did Jedi Survivor get? I didn't think it got nominated.
I don't think I Game of the Year, but
no,
I
it
think
wasn't. It wasn't Game of the Year, but it was nominated for like best action, best
Sure.
music. Yeah.
Well,
I think
and that
it
was the
did,
point.
Fallen Order actually got nominated the year after it came out because of that whole TGA cutoff thing. Not for Game of the Year, but like other stuff as well. So that was actually pretty impressive.
Which I guess is to its credit. Like a whole year later, people are still thinking, "Oh, this game is still really good. I should nominate this."
Yeah.
Well,
But
that was
sorry.
going to be my point. Fusion is that I think, and granted, I am clearly biased based on how I'm talking about Outlaws, but I think it has a lot going for it, and I think two of the main things is that what did we get last year that seemed to kind of either go under the radar or undeliver? A space exploration game and a Star Wars game. Now, I'm not taking shots at Jedi Survivor because I know that is a good
I
game,
am.
but like the launch wasn't great, and I feel like that held like a dark cloud over that game, and it didn't get nominated for Game of the Year, and I think it did kind of miss the mark for some people. And then obviously Starfield, I don't have to go into that. So what if this game is both a good space exploration game and a good Star Wars game, with all of the systems that it's doing, and it doesn't feel like a Ubisoft game, as long as it has a good, clean Star Wars story, I genuinely think it has a very good shot at it.
Also, because I think the lineup for Game of the Year this year is kind of on the lighter side. We should probably bring this as a topic, like either next week or so, because we're at the halfway point. But like, what are the Game of the Year front runners right now?
I mean, that's what we're gonna talk about next week. It's Rebirth.
Maybe Infinite Wealth.
Maybe Dragon's Dogma, but that was a lot of
No,
controversy.
I
around
think
its
it's.
launch.
I think it's.
I think
Yeah,
that's
I don't
Avowed.
think it makes it. Yep.
Hellblade.
No.
Nope.
I think Helldivers, legitimately.
Unironically, do you think at the TGAs you're gonna see Shadow of the Erd Tree sitting
No.
right there, nice
No.
and pretty, because it's a slow year?
No.
And then when like if you look at the rest of the year, at least games that have dates and seem very likely to come out this year, what are the other big contenders? Indie, maybe if that actually delivers, but we're all kind of middling on that right now. Astro Bot.
I was gonna say I genuinely think
Astrobot's mine.
it's so funny to me that PlayStation literally came out and said, "Hey, we don't have any big AAA IP coming out this year. Sorry," and they still get a Game of the Year nominee because Astrobot's that fucking good. Like that just would be the funniest thing. It's like, yeah, that's a huge flex.
Yeah, no, Moon. I kind of wanted to bring it up, but like, it's like one of those things where, in my heart, I want Infinite Wealth to get nominated, but it's just too niche. But like, I think
it's
bigger than it's ever been. It's bigger than it's ever been.
Like a Dragon got I don't think it was up for Game of the Year, but I think Like a Dragon got some like RPG noms or something like that.
I hope it gets nominated because like that'd be so sick to see.
I'm just trying to think of like what other games, like Avowed.
Prince of Persia: Lost Crown could.
In my heart, I think it's gonna get hit by like January bias, where it's like it came out
That's
early
true.
in the year.
Oh, Dragon Age.
Oh, I mean, if that's
If
a
that
good
actually
game.
comes out this year and adds a good game. So it's like
I'll get to Dragon Age.
maybe this is the crazy year that both Star Wars Outlaws and Shadows both get nominated, and we have two Ubisoft games at the
That'd
Game
be
Awards.
insane.
Like
If
Lost
that
Crown
happens, I'm
also.
out.
They have a triple crown.
Oh yeah, Lost
Yeah,
Crown.
that's
Yeah. This is
Oh, I
Ubisoft
forgot
game.
Power World. Power World's got to be there. I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure,
obviously, it's got to be there. New DLC coming out soon. Check it out.
Palworld fans are.
This is
going
Life
through a
is
lot
Strange
right now.
year. This is the
Oh,
year for
Life
Life
is
is
Strange, man.
That's actually a
It's gonna
possibility.
Double
happen. It's gonna
exposure,
happen.
baby.
It's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
So it's gonna be a weird year at the TGAs.
I'll say this: I know for a fact my game of the year list is going to look so much different from the TGA.
Oh,
like
100%.
Oh yeah.
Mine too.
I'm going to look like such a weirdo where it's like I haven't played any of these games. Moving on. Any more thoughts on Ubisoft, or are we good to go? Because I think we're
Good.
all
Good to go.
ready. All right, let's get into a lot of previews. Some of these we're going to try to go by quickly. First up, we teased it earlier. Dragon Age. Okay, it's funny. So the Shinobi tweet, with all the information about this game, he says Dragon Age Veilguard. That's not right, Shinobi. It's Dragon Age the Veilguard.
You know, Twitter character limits. He had to cut ties.
He is a blue checkmark. He does not have to
Wow.
worry about the character limit.
Dragon
Out of
Age is
habit,
like
probably.
Dragon Age is like Ohio State, where it's like it must be the Ohio State
They
University.
trademarked it.
Yep. That's a sports joke.
Hell yeah, sports. I love sports. Dragon Age the Veilguard. I'm not gonna call it that. The Dragon Age Veilguard. We got a big preview. People were not very happy after that initial trailer at the Xbox show, and then moving into it, we got a lot of previews of people saying, "Oh, actually, no, it's actually really good. It looks amazing." And we got like the gameplay demonstration on I think it was the 11th. And Shinobi put out a big tweet with all the info we got from it. But before we even get into any of these specifics, Fusion, you wanted to fight for this.
Man.
You wanted to.
Yeah, I
going
did.
real hard for
did.
this.
I just want like all the haters, the naysayers, to say like, "Oh, that trailer was like so Marvel," and like, shut up. Then this is what happened when you wait for the gameplay. You wait for the deep dive 2 days later. You sit there, you relax, you breathe. This comes out of 20 minutes of straight fire. I think since there's some people who are just still like, this is lame, whatever. You always have those people, but I think to go from like that trailer, which I know a lot of people are like, this is like Marvel, this is like not what I expect from Dragon Age. Which, looking back after the gameplay, that trailer wasn't great. Like the vibes were definitely different than what the gameplay is, but like the moment they showed that like teaser of this gameplay, I think it was Sunday night after the Xbox show, like late at night, they like put out a teaser of like what the gameplay was gonna look like. I was like, this is going to look awesome. And then the fact that we got it. We got like 20 minutes, and like genuinely for 20 minutes, I was like, this just shot up my most anticipated list in a way where I never thought. Like I remember when this was called Dreadwolf, and we saw all those leaks, I didn't care that much about Dragon Age. I was like, well, whatever. Like it seems like it's in development hell. Like who knows at this point? But I feel like what we've seen and the majority positive reactions online, like I think this is going to be. It was insane to me to see how many people at not E3, like at Summer Game Fest, were like, this was their game of the show. I just feel like it's not Baldur's Gate levels of coming out of nowhere, obviously, because this game has been like, it was revealed 4 years ago, and like BioWare's a bigger name than Larian. Like it's more known than a Baldur's Gate, and I don't think it's going to be some random 96 that like comes and sweeps the game of the year or anything. But it gives me very similar vibes of like a late game comes out in November or something, where it just like before E3, no one really knew like how serious the game was going to be, where it's just dropped out of nowhere. And I feel like everyone here owes a little bit of an apology, because everyone here on this panel was kind of like,
Oh my god,
not in on it. And I
it's
understand
not out yet.
I understand, but I think we can all sit here and say that gameplay was awesome.
No, I'll give you that. But you're not getting your apology until the game's out. That's all I'm saying. But I will say,
You could be dead by
the game
then,
looks
bro.
great. Okay,
I'm not gonna apologize, because why have that trailer in the first place? Like you,
It was for you and your Avowed fans. They had to do something.
that's no.
low blow, man.
Like, and obviously I'm very high on Avowed, and if I have to pick one, which I probably will, I'm still going to pick Avowed. But I am very interested in Dragon Age, and I just genuinely do not understand who that reveal trailer was for. Because again, technically, we have never officially seen anything about the game except for that first like title screen when it was Dreadwolf.
Right.
So this is your like big like, here's our game, and then give you the vibe that is nothing like the actual gameplay that you watch the next day or two, and it's like, why? Who are they trying to like appeal to the general audience? Are they trying to like? I genuinely do not know who that trailer was for, and I shouldn't have to then watch a 20-minute deep dive the next day to be like, oh, this is what the game is actually about. It should be covered in the trailer that I watched during this big showcase. But that being said, cooling it down. It did look really good. The gameplay, I like how it kind of is more inspired by Mass Effect. And it seems like they're going to lean into that because and there was also talk about, people are mad that this isn't like the older Dragon Age and it's not closer to like a Baldur's Gate in like the beginnings of a CRPG. But like, listen, if BioWare makes a good, like, if this is their strength, why would you not want them to play to their strengths? Like, I don't understand why Mass Effect and Dragon Age can't play similarly. They're still two completely different games. Who cares? So I don't understand those criticisms. I think this genuinely looks really good, and I'm happy that BioWare seems to be on an upswing again. Because that's only good for the industry to have one of the major players seemingly on top of their game again.
You were so close to saying they're back. I just felt like
I was so. I don't. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it until it comes out. I'm not saying it until it comes out.
Also, Bob, I mean, you say like, oh, people are upset that it's not like old classic CRPG or turn-based like Baldur's Gate 3. It's never been turn-based. Like, a lot of people think Dragon Age is a turn-based series. Like, it has turn-based elements, but it's always been an action RPG first and foremost. So it's just leaned more into the action as the series went on, and it seems like this one's kind of closer to Origins. I might be wrong. I am curious to see what people think of this game as we go steer towards the end of the year, because remember, Inquisition was a game of the year, not even contender, it was a winner. It won the Game Awards. And everyone was like, who? No, I'm kidding. But I mean, it was just an interesting, it's interesting to think about how long people have been waiting for this, because it has literally been a decade since Inquisition. So we're kind of sitting at a point where, like, your last two games didn't do too hot, and Fusion fights for Anthem's fight every day, but like, I don't think he's winning that fight. At the end of the day, like, this is the moment of like, is BioWare back? Can they show off? I hope like what the BioWare talent that's still there definitely show off why they are still there. It's like, no, we believe in this company, we believe in the vision, we're going to nail this, and maybe move into Mass Effect. And it's like, yeah, maybe BioWare will be back. They aren't yet. We'll be waiting until the game's actually out. But yeah, I'm very curious. What do you guys think is going to release? Like, what month?
I hope it's a month that I don't have plenty of other games to play, because I'm actually.
It's so hard because I'm selfishly like, I don't want it to release like past the cutoff of TGAs. I'll be honest. I'm selfish. I want to see this game thrive. So I want it to be good enough in my head where it's like they have a shot at being nominated. So I'm like, don't release like November 20 something. Like, just don't do that, please. And it's like the perfect. In my head, I'm like maybe late October, but then it's like Call of Duty and Life is Strange. There's not a perfect time between August and November at this point to release this game.
August. The release in the middle of August. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
no, because it's right before the storm of late August and early September.
That was Outlaws.
Also, if it was August, I would have said.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's terrible news. If it's August and they're still not like committing to it.
Yeah,
I think it's September, or like I think it's either late September through like early November at this rate, like somewhere in there. Dragon Age screams October to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Gut feelings October.
Early October. That's kind of my viewpoint. Get away from Call of Duty after the September mess.
Now, granted, if you do early October, you don't have too many competition, because the big hitters like Call of Duty and Life is Strange is at the end of the month. So if you get in the like first few weeks, yeah, you have Metaphor, but I think Metaphor and Dragon Age don't have giant crossover, so it's like two different audiences.
Moon Fusion, both of you said it. Life is Strange is not a big hitter. It's gonna be.
I'm not saying that from a public version. I'm talking about from a personal, selfish perspective.
It's just funny. It's like Call of Duty and Life is Strange in the same sentence.
Like I don't want to have to pick between Life is Strange and Dragon Age. Like, that just doesn't sound fun.
I mean, Life
Yeah,
is
'cause
Strange isn't that long usually, is it?
No,
No,
they're like
they're usually
20,
like
20 hours, something like that.
20.
20?
Well, yeah.
What kind of Life is
that
Strange
is-
have you played? I
I
don't
take
think
my
I've
time.
ever put more than 12 hours in a Life is Strange
I was
game.
gonna
I've played
say,
them all.
yeah, 15 at max.
Hold on. Maybe I just said a bad number.
Shout
I'm
out,
gonna go
Max.
He's just a really slow reader.
For what it's worth, while you're looking that up, Inquisition released November 19th. Granted, 10 years ago, different vibes, just entirely, but it was a late.
And I think I understand.
Early.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I understand that we always talk about the cutoff thing, but like I generally, if your game is big enough, you're not getting cut off. That's not how it works. Like if your game is big enough, you're putting out review codes, you're not going to be cut off from the TGA. Everyone always just looks at Forza Horizon that year. It was a racing game. It was never getting nominated. They just used the excuse.
Fusion, I will say this: Jedi Fallen Order. You know, in Star Wars that got cut off from.
But I disagree. Only because at that time there was not a good Star Wars video game.
What?
Was there a good? I'm not talking about KOTOR and freaking the 2000s. I'm talking about
man.
Yeah, that game was great at launch. You were there, bro.
Whoa. I'm not going that far.
There was not a good single player Star Wars video game in like a decade before Fallen Order.
That's fair. I guess, but I don't think they got review codes for Fallen Order.
I was just saying. It also just depends when the devs give out review codes. I'm saying like if you get review codes early enough, no one's ever gonna. I feel like if you're big enough and if you're good enough, you're going to show up.
I just think that maybe Jeff should, push back the anyway.
I mean, you're right. I agree, but I also think I think he sends those forms out weeks before he needs them, and people fill them out immediately.
Yes,
like
that has been soft confirmed by people in the past. Yes,
like he takes blame, but also some other people immediately get that list. They don't care about the rest of the year, and they're like, "Here's the 10 games," and send it on their way.
I'm trying to search up a.
He's looking up all the Star Wars games, and he's like, "Wow,
yeah,
nothing."
No. The problem is that I'm trying to find like a timeline to see like the last 10 years, and it gives me the official Star Wars timeline, like 32 BBY. You fucking nerds! Holy
there were
shit.
2 Battlefront games. We know that.
Yeah, I mean it's really the Battlefront games. That was the VR games weren't before Fallen Order. I guess Force Unleashed, but that's early.
Star Wars Eclipse. That game still exists.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, totally forgot about that one.
Okay, you know what? Maybe Fusion was right.
Force Unleashed was 2008. That didn't even make the 10-year cutoff.
Jeez, I'm old.
What about Force Unleashed 2, Bucko?
I don't know. I never heard of that.
Probably like 2010.
That one sucks.
Star Wars.
Yeah, that one's even worse.
2020.
Yeah, Star Wars Squadrons came out after Fallen Order.
Was Battlefront 1 that bad, guys?
Yes, because it was nothing. Didn't they not even have like Jedis and Sith in that one?
No, they had Jedis and Sith in that one.
And Battlefront 1 was a multiplayer-only title. When has a multiplayer-only title ever been not Overwatch?
Overwatch?
Yeah, whoa, you're talking to 2 Overwatch fans in here.
That's the only one that was a fraud win.
Oh, shut up.
Oh my god, you're still complaining about that?
I'm still so mad at Charlie.
What a hater. Go play Concord.
Dude, the Uncharted Wolf thought Overwatch deserved that win too. Just saying,
Yeah.
Are you gonna call me a fraud?
No, I was gonna call you something way worse. But
okay,
we'll keep it PG.
Let's move on. I'm Dragon Age. Very excited. I want to see more of it.
You didn't even read any of the previews. That's how excited we were about it.
I mean, what do you want? I asked. Is there anything you want to point out? Nudity confirmed.
That's awesome. No, I think the biggest thing is I think it's so cool that how you're talking about with Avowed, how like the companions can talk to each other. Like the fact that the companions in this game can romance each other. Like, come on, that is awesome.
That is cool.
Like,
this actually gets me excited. Elemental mechanics are very important. I actually like that shit.
Right, they used to be important in Mass Effect.
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because like fire, does more against flesh. Yeah, okay. It's been a while since I played, but yeah, you're right. Moving on to our next preview roundup is Star Wars Outlaws. Okami Games has a good one. This one's not nearly as long. Shinobi loves Dragon Age. Did you guys?
That
know
Dragon Age one was so long. I've never
I-
seen the character limit hit like that one before.
God bless his soul. I'm excited for him.
He was getting hate
specifically.
online, so good thing.
Yeah, it was
He's
like
just a
you're
huge
a
Bioware
chill.
fan,
I
though.
gotta
So
say,
it's like,
that's what I
yeah.
mean. Like people are like, they're just like Bioware could put out anything and you'd be excited. It's like, isn't that kind of the point of your favorite
Yeah.
studio? Like,
Being a fan.
Yeah, he's not a
Anyway.
news outlet. He has no, whatever.
He's the GOAT. That's what it. That
it's not like he's reviewing the games. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But anyway, Star Wars Outlaws, upcoming games, has some good stuff here. Star Wars Uncharted.
Which you
people
said you weren't
can't jump
excited. They put Uncharted there. Why weren't you excited?
No, that's not, dude. I saw that gameplay. That's not. If it was Uncharted, it would be linear. This is like when they fucking did that open world bullshit in Lost Legacy. It's like it's an open chapter. No,
You don't
it's
like
Uncharted.
Madagascar and Uncharted 4?
I hated it. I hated it. I
You're a
don't
hater.
like.
No wonder you picked Overwatch over it.
I didn't hate it, but like I just, when it comes to Uncharted, what I like about Uncharted is that it's linear. I like
Driving the
just
Jeep
like
was so fun.
an action movie. I like it's an action movie, and then you're like, now there's a Madagascar. You're driving a Jeep. I'm like, come on, man. It's still fun. I still enjoyed it. Anyways, off topic. Kay's main weapon is her blaster. Special ability similar to Deadeye from Red Dead Redemption. Playable in-universe card game called Sabak. World feels more grounded. Your pet Nix can distract enemies, collect their guns, reveal secrets. Reputation system for factions. Wanted system. Gaining a high reputation with certain factions unlocks new areas and rewards. Space combat and a seamless land on a planet from space. Starfield, eat your heart out.
Yeah, shout out Starfield.
But no, I mean, I read the previews. It's like it's frustrating to me because I'm like, a lot of this is stuff I'm so into. Specifically, like the wanted system reminds me of GTA, which I love. But I'm like, something about this game is like missing something for me.
You think if it was new IP and wasn't Star Wars, you'd be more into it?
I on it 100%. But also, I don't like sci-fi. Like
I was just saying, I
sci-fi
was gonna say you're not a space guy.
It's space does not interest me as a like. What's there to do up there? You know, that's all I'm saying. Like, I would rather fight a dragon than an alien any day of the week. But hey, if you're a sci-fi guy, like you're eating this year, I think.
Yummy.
Actually, is there that many sci-fi games this
I
year?
think there's more fantasy games than sci-fi.
Yeah, okay. Never
I
mind.
think there's more
Sci-fi.
fantasy, but
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
more.
but that's
We got
kinda-
Avowed
that's-
and Dragon Age in the same year.
That's kind of how it always works. People talk.
yeah,
There's not that
sci-fi
many
is not
sci-fi
that
space
big.
games.
Yeah.
Like there's really not, and people are always like when you get a new one, people I feel like they're always like, oh, another space game. It's like you can't name the last one. There's not many out there.
Yeah, and then they just get murdered like Dead Space. And it's like no Dead Space 2 for you. Still mad about that.
I will say one thing that we didn't touch on earlier, as far as a reputation system, that to me is very exciting because it's like I know Jabba the Hutt has like his faction has a reputation and these other factions have a reputation. I really hope they don't have the cop out of you can be friendly with all the factions. Like, no, if I choose Jabba, don't let me be super close with his enemy faction. Like, don't let me be a double agent. Like, I really want there to be, choices that matter.
More like Obsidian, less like Bethesda.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't want to be friends with all these people. I want there to actually be consequences. But of course, then you don't get to see all the game, and devs don't like that because then a lot of people don't end up replaying the other aspects. But I know that's a personal thing, but that would make it more immersive for me.
Listen, that always frustrates me, honestly, where it's like, oh, well, we want you to experience all the paths in the game. It's like, then I'll replay it. Like, you don't need that. Isn't it cool to have different experiences as players? Like, I don't know. It's like, I get that feeling of like you work really hard on something, you want everyone to see it, like every possible player to see it. But something you learn is that not everyone's going to see all of the work you do in the game. Not everyone's going to see every single quest line. A lot of people only do the main quest. A lot of people only do like one or two quests and then bounce out. Like, you're not trying to appeal to everyone. Just try to appeal to the person that's going to play through the game and go, wow, I'm glad I got that really unique path. They talk to their friends. It's like, oh, you went with Jabba. I went with, I don't know, Count Dooku. I don't know Star Wars. Like,
That'd be
that's
sick.
interesting to me. I wish, bro. Count Dooku's so underutilized. But no, in all seriousness, like, I think I really hope they don't cop out, but I don't think you have to worry about it because, like, I was watching some preview coverage, and it seems like the decisions you make, it's like, hey, this reputation goes up for this faction, but it goes down for the other one. It sounds a lot like Fallout New Vegas in that fact.
Yeah, because there was like not a cut scene, but like a quick time event where your choices to double cross who you're currently working for or carry out your missions, which will affect your standings with both factions. So it's probably not as deep as we want it to be, but I don't think it's going to be the cop out either.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's like you had to do like a mission for Jabba, and you go sneak into an enemy faction's like base, and once they found you, your reputation with them lowered. So it's like, okay, they're that's promising. So I hope it keeps that promise.
Very excited for that. Well, at least I'm excited for you guys to play it. Next one, I'm actually really excited for this one. Assassin's Creed Shadows. This Shinobi kind of like put down like more of the previews, but there was a lot of like preview coverage. People talking about their experience with the game. I mean, not much else to add. I feel like we kind of talked all about it earlier. You guys have anything you're really excited about with Shadows? Like specifically, I will say one thing that actually gets me really excited. You get to turn off the lights. I didn't mention that earlier, but that's a lot like Splinter Cell, so I think that's cool. I love stealth mechanics like that. I'm excited for a AAA stealth game. we've been in the stealth fans. We've been in the fucking rudder lately, so I need something.
I think the only reason I don't really have much to say about these previews is because it felt like it was just a retelling of what they told us a month ago. Like when we got all those previews of Shadows when like they first revealed it, we got previews. So it's weird that the game, like we got the previews a month ago before we got the gameplay, and this was just like another preview after the gameplay. So I feel like we already knew a lot of Shadows, we just didn't know what it looked like.
For sure. Moving on to Monster Hunter Wilds, got a lot of previews there. Okami Games got like a lot of stuff. No need to go over every single thing. I'm not a Monster Hunter guy. Moon and Fusion aren't. Bop, are you?
Yes, but I'm a newer Monster Hunter guy. So like Rise was the first Monster Hunter game that I really got into.
Gotcha. Did these previews do anything for you as a newer guy?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly always because Rise was a smaller in scope game than World was, and part of me always kind of wanted to go back to World because I feel like I was missing out a little bit, and then part of me was like, well, I'll just wait for the next one. And this obviously feels like a step up from World, which is already a step up from Rise. And I'm just very excited to see Capcom with, next gen hardware and technology being able to continue to push the limits of what they can do with these games, because they really are just fantastic multiplayer games. I would like to, I can't speak for World, but I know Rise did have, a semblance of a story, wasn't very deep. And I think traditionally Monster Hunter stories have not been very deep.
World Story isn't deep at all.
Exactly. So it's like that's never been a thing, but based on what we've seen, it kind of feels like there might be a little bit more there, which is always nice. But yeah, overall, I'm definitely excited for these guys are cooking. They're still going.
I mean, it's Capcom in the Cap God era. The map is twice the size of any other Monster Hunter game before, which is both like a whoa and a ooh, that's a little worrying, but also I think they're going for the more open world approach. If they can make it work, makes sense for it to be a much bigger game, because like originally a Monster Hunter, you're looking at like zones basically that you would walk into, so it makes sense for Wilds to basically be this one big world. I don't know. Again, I don't know too much about Monster Hunter. I only played a bit of World. Everything I've seen of it, it's like, wow, I'm very excited for Monster Hunter fans. Maybe I jump in on it. Fusion, I think you said before you were intrigued on jumping on this one. Am I making stuff up?
No, I said that. I did say, I guess I never tried. Like I was never into Monster Hunter before, like when Worlds came out, and even when Rise came out, I was kind of into Rise a little bit. Where it's just like, but I'm pretty sure it launched Switch first, right? That was a Switch game at first. Yeah, I was like, when it launched, it was only on Switch. I didn't have a Switch at the time, so I was like, well, not even jumping into that like at launch. So like, I haven't had a true chance to jump into a Monster Hunter like at launch or around launch. So like, everything I'm seeing from Wilds looks really fun and like really cool, and like I would like to jump into it. But it also is a game where it's like, if I don't have friends, I doubt I'd ever jump into it. Like I would never be like, buy Monster Hunter and go in on a solo adventure. I feel like it's just not the type of game where I would have fun with if I was by myself. So it truly depends on like the people around me and how many people get it, and yeah.
You are correct in that assessment. Do not play this. I mean, you can play it by yourself, but it is incredibly boring. You
Yeah, I just say I
definitely
don't
need
know
a
if
group of
I could
people.
do it.
Yeah, I remember playing World with my friend, and like, I'm a bad person. Okay, I just remember playing the combat, and I'm like, it looks like Souls. I want it to feel like Souls, and it doesn't feel like Souls.
I still think the combat looks weird. Like when the swords connect to these monsters, it just
Very
doesn't feel like it's as like not I don't know where, when you can just tell like when your sword's connecting, it doesn't feel right. That's still the combat
Yep.
like I get from this Monster Hunter Wilds, where I'm like, I'm looking at it, that doesn't look satisfying to me. I don't know how it feels,
Yeah.
but from a viewer perspective, I'm like, this doesn't look like it feels as good as it should.
From my experience with Rise, yeah, you're not getting a lot of feedback, and they don't really unless you do like a huge stagger, they're not really going to react to what you're doing. They're just going to do their weapon pattern, and like it takes a long time for some of these bosses to die. So you're sitting there for a while. Like you are in for the long haul on some of these guys, which can also be kind of grating. But it's a very specific type of game. So yeah, if you're looking for something like FromSoft, or you're looking for something like a true action game that is reactive to every hit you're making, this is most likely still not going to be that game.
I don't like boss fights that last 7 years, so.
Oh, yeah, don't play Monster Hunter then.
Yeah, another.
I mean, literally, Monster Hunter.
The Final Fantasy effect.
Monster Hunter is boss fights, the game. So.
Well, yeah, I guess maybe it's different when the entire point of the game is hunting these monsters, but like when you if I'm playing a single player game and next thing I know I'm in a 25-minute boss, not even because it's hard, but just because your health is insane, like I'm like, wow, I hate this.
You got to go in like the mentality of you got to assemble the gang to go do like a Destiny raid. It's kind of that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I like doing that, so.
I think instead of like playing a single player game and hitting a crazy combo that has all this synergy and you do a lot of damage, take that and like divide it by 4 between your party, because like when you are in sync with your like friends and you're all lining up these abilities together, it is the coolest feeling ever. But again, you do need friends to be able to do that. So it is a different experience.
That's
Where do I
honestly
get
the
those?
gatekeeper. Moving on to the actual game of the year, Astro Bot. Okami Games has this. A lot of cool stuff here. Listen, here's what gets me a little excited. Levels are ranked by difficulty: easy, normal, hard. Hard difficulty will challenge even seasoned platforming fans. Talk dirty to me, man.
Good night,
I don't
everyone.
like this. I don't
Hey,
like this.
is Jeff still in your room? Like,
Over
should we be worried for
300
him?
robots to find,
Jeff's still in
including
your
over
room.
150 iconic PlayStation camp. This game was made for me. This game was fucking made for me. Fusion, you're not allowed to play it. This is my game.
I played Astro Bot before you.
Okay, fuck you. You know I didn't have a PS5 at launch. I was trying.
That sucks for you.
Yeah, facts are facts, dude. I don't know how you can dispute that.
No, in all seriousness, I'm fucking excited as shit for this game. There's these previews just everyone was saying it's like this is. I think Jeff Grubb had the tweet where it was just like, I only played like 20 minutes, but Astro Bot's my game of the year, and it's like that. Just everything I see about this game, it's just like, yeah, this is like if you loved Astro's Playroom, it's just that on crack.
It was weird that I was telling Bob like a few days ago where it's like, I feel like it's very rare where like the word game of the year is thrown around in previews of a video game. It happens in reviews where like the full game's out and people will be like, this will be a game of the year contender. But like previews in the game, it's very rare that they're just throwing out the word like this will be a game of the year contender or something. And I saw multiple people on Twitter and multiple articles about how this is like already a game of the year contender, which sounds insane to me.
Let's go Sony. Even in a slow year, you're gonna have a game of the year contender. That's a go for a reason.
I think the reason they're saying that is because that is the game. When you do a preview, you're like, well, there's probably a story that I'm going to have to see play out, or there's other mechanics that I haven't seen yet. Where with this, it's like, oh, I'm just going to have 15 more hours of this, and I really like this. So I think, like it kind of, you get ahead of yourself. But to your point, Wolf, I was listening to the Giant Bombcast where Jeff Grubb and Dan Reichert were talking about their preview with it, and those two are notorious Nintendo platforming fans, and they are the freaks who will go and do Mario Maker maps, right? And I think it was Dan specifically was like, I have never in my life played a 3D platformer and said it is on the level of a Mario 3D platformer.
Oh,
this is the first time I will say that this game could be on the level of a Mario 3D platformer. And I just literally audibly what I heard that was like, holy shit.
Dan Reichert saying that is actually kind of fucking insane because like he is someone who will stand up for all those. Like he's like, yeah, no, Nintendo just makes better 3D platforms.
Yeah, he's very blunt in his opinions about that.
Yeah, so that just immediately gets me. Oh, dude, this is what I want more of from PlayStation. I love those big budget, AAA cinematic games. They're great. Give me more stuff in between. Give me more Astro Bots. These AA fun sized experiences. Fun size like the Snickers bar. I don't fucking know. But like this is exactly what I want from PlayStation, where you're not expecting Astro Bot to sell 10 bajillion copies. You're not expecting the 11 million seller that Spider-Man 2 is. What you're expecting is a moderately strong success where, hey, it exceeded our expectations. We are more than happy with what we got out of this, even though it wasn't 20 million sales. I want more of that from PlayStation and them being more willing to do that. And I hope this game shows them why that should be the case. Fusion, I joked about it earlier, but honestly, how are you feeling hype level for this game? Is this a day one?
Yeah, I'm very hyped. It's so hard for me to buy day one games anymore, but I'd like to believe it's a day one game. I think a year ago, probably one of our very first podcasts where we talked about where we wanted to create a dream game and all that. I'm pretty sure my dream game at the time was I want a 15-hour Astro Bot game, and it sounds like this is what we're getting. Everything just sounds amazing, and it's been a while since I played a 3D platformer. I don't even know the last one I played, but so I mean, I think it does come out at a weird time, but it comes out also at a time where it's you're Astro Bot, you're just a step above everything else. I'll probably get you first.
I think it comes out a week after Star Wars. So I don't know how that feels for you, Fusion. I feel like Outlaws is one that you would wait for a sale, wouldn't it?
I don't know anymore. My brain doesn't work.
There's gonna be so many other games out.
Okay, Fusion, let's just assume you won the lottery. Are you playing Astro Bot or Outlaws first?
If I
you won the lottery. You don't need to worry about the price.
That means I'm also not working, man.
Yeah, you're quitting your job.
Okay. You quit your job. You quit your job.
I'm playing on both at the same time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. You can only pick one. The other one goes away forever.
Well, probably Astro, only because it just. I wish it was the other way around. I wish Astro was a week before Outlaws, because then you could beat Astro in that week and jump on Outlaws. But the fact that Outlaws is going to be 30 to 50 hours, by the time. I mean, it could be that thing where I do pick up Outlaws day one, play it for a week. It's an open world game. They're very easy for me to get back to compared to a linear story-based game. I could jump in for a week and play and finish up Astro and then go back to Star Wars. But if I had to genuinely pick, give me one of these games or give me none, I would pick Astro.
I'm in the same spot in the sense that I would not pick Astro over Outlaws, but
we know PlayStation.
Yeah, okay, all right. No, but kid, let me finish. I do think Outlaws leads itself to a thing where it's all right, I go in, maybe play for a couple hours, do a couple side missions, or maybe progress the story a little bit, and then I go and play a few levels of Astro Bot. I think these two are could be good at bouncing off of each other.
Very exciting. Real quick, Wario64 also had a tweet. Astro Bot will have free DLC after launch, quote, based around adding more challenge levels to the game. Story levels focused on specific platforming challenges, but that won't be the only component. Very exciting. I want to hear more of that. Free DLC, free is for me. I think that's what you say, Fusion.
It is. Which is, it brings to the point where this game is $50, which some people are going to have a problem with it, or $60, whatever. Yeah, $60, where people are going to have a problem with it being a $60 title. But if it's the type of thing where it's $60, but we're also able now, because it's $60, to put loads of free DLC into it, that's cool. Like instead of like if this was a $40 title and down the line they're like buy this DLC for $20, like.
And you know I would have bought it.
Yeah, I would. A lot of people probably would have bought it too, but it's good to hear like, yes, it's $60, but you can expect everything after that to be completely free, and there's gonna be no microtransaction. Well, I don't know if they said no microtransaction, but like at least from content wise, it's going to be all free.
Yeah, I think they said no microtransactions in an earlier interview.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked if there was a way to like buy Astro skins. So
maybe like through the digital deluxe. Yeah, probably. I don't know.
You got the first game free, all right? So when you average it out, they're both $30. So shut up.
True.
I will do everything in my power to make sure Astro Bot becomes a franchise. I'll buy 6 copies. One for Fusion, one for me, and then 4 for the dogs outside. I don't know.
The fact that they already said that like they're naming it Astro Bot because they kind of want to like not remake, but they kind of want to like put a staple of, hey, Astro Bot's going to be a franchise. Like I would guarantee if this does even remotely well, this is a game. This is going to be a platformer on the PlayStation for a long time.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope this turns me around on 3D platformers.
Oh, do you prefer 2D platformers?
Moving on to Lego Horizon Adventures. Shinobi has a good tweet thread about everything here. How you guys feeling about this game? Because we talked about it after SGF. People were pretty positive on this preview.
Real game of the year.
Shut up, bro.
I'm just saying.
What are you actually really like? Oh,
I'm really excited about this. I really am. It won't be no game of the year. I doubt it, but I am excited about it. I really do think it's going to be. Again, I was surprised how. I'm not really surprised, but like the previews did sound really good. Like I know Paris and Tim from Kind of Funny were like very like excited on, and when Jeff Grubb even tweeted out, he's like, "Hey, like I was actually very impressed with the Lego Horizon game," and that dude hates the Horizon games. So like the fact that like anything Horizon gets him excited, like that's a win for me. So, I mean, it's a little weird that I guess they are like apparently retelling the story. It's not like a faithful retelling, but it's like some of the stuff is retelling.
Not a faithful retelling, and neither is it a parody. Wow, how did you get that exactly right? Not a faithful retelling. What the fuck, Fusion?
But I don't know what I don't know what that all means, because I think from shout out Jack from the Game Mess, he sent me a message the other day saying like, is this considered a remake? Like, is this Lego version considered a remake of the first game? And I just told him to stop thinking so deep because it's not. But I don't know. It's weird that they are doing like this whole. It's part like it's the first game, but it's not the first game. I have no idea what they're doing with the story, but who cares? It's a Lego game. It just seems like I don't know where he got this comparison from, but Paris from Kind of Funny said it. The combat felt like Hades. I was like, I don't know how you bring that up, but you tell me this combat feels any remotely next to Hades, and we're having a winner here.
I mean, it'll probably be like more like a dumbed down Hades. You know, it's a Lego game. They want to appeal to the kiddos. So it'll probably be an easier Hades, I think. Probably he probably said that because the camera angle's kind of zoomed out.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe I think only because the last Star Wars Lego game is like it's such an outlier, and that game was like 35 hours for me. 7 to 8 hours felt very like short when they said that out loud, but I guess it's really not for a Lego game. Like most Lego games, I would assume are like less than 10 hours, unless you are the Star Wars saga and you're 9 games.
No, Lego games are really short. They're like 6 hours usually.
Yeah, so
they're meant to be replayed multiple times. So, I will say some of this stuff was pretty interesting. Aloy could discover special piles of bricks she can use to craft various designs, like a sailboat doghouse. I don't know why that's the second one mentioned. That's like sailboat and then a doghouse. I don't know. I'm intrigued by this game.
I'm someone that's like, all the non-Horizon stuff is a little off-putting to me. The fact that you can have that hot dog man like actually running around with you, like, and the fact that you can do like non-Horizon things in this Horizon game, I don't like. I'll be honest, like I'm not a huge fan of that. But if there's a choice of I can just avoid all that and make it like just a straight up Horizon experience, that's probably the way I prefer to play it. But it's like you said, it's mainly for the kids, and we're just grown adults that get excited about Lego games sometimes. So whatever.
Hey, let's calm down. We're grown adults that got excited for Astro. The Astro Bot's like generational. So
He's the Michael Jordan of our era.
yeah, he is. Final preview, Phantom Blade Zero. I just want to say this thing from Genki, inspired by Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, Sifu, and Bloodborne. I love 2 of those games. So yeah, we're looking at a banger. This game was actually kind of a surprise that one, it ended SGF, so that was weird. But also previews are extremely positive on this game. It is not really a Souls like a lot of people were expecting. A combat similar to Ninja Gaiden, traditional hack and slash with semi-open world.
Thank God.
Seems like it's something that wants to appeal more to the Devil May Cry fans, the pure action game fans. Which hey, I'll be down for that. Any thoughts on the previews? God bless.
No, I mean, I know. I mean, Moon talked about it a few days ago that he was happy that it, like the Souls combat, which I can understand. Like there is a lot of games that like have been like very much, hey, we're going to go that whole Souls route. So the fact that it is just pure combat, there's still, I haven't looked much into the previews yet, so I don't know like if I should be excited or not. But there's still something about the game that doesn't overly excite me. I don't know why. I guess I should like look into it more. But there's nothing from this where I'm like, oh, this thing shot up my radar. It's still just like, oh, Phantom Blade Zero, that's cool.
Yeah, they even mentioned here release date is still a while off. I think they actually said I might be wrong. I think they said like aiming for 2026. So we're not gonna see this probably for a while.
Wow, ew, that's
But that'd be
gross.
weird that we got the previews now.
I'm just saying, why would you preview this and then also and all that? That's so
I will
weird.
say, I think what it is that a lot of people kind of saw the first gameplay for it last year and were like, "That's fake. That's not real." So they kind of want to show it's like, no,
they were real.
yeah. I mean, they said they're doing a demo world tour, so I'm excited for it just from a sense of like, as a Souls fan, I got enough. I'd like a pure action game every now and then, and to hear this is very much inspired by Metal Gear Rising, that gets me much more interested. That's all the previews. A lot of previews. How do you guys feel about like the preview coverage? Did you think it was weird that like a lot of these previews, like this day this was embargoed, and then the next day we got this preview, stuff like that? Did you think that was kind of a weird way of doing it, or do you think it's better to like spread out the workload throughout the week?
I actually
sure it
really
was-
liked it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was weird for the people who actually had to do that because it was like, a shotgun blast of previews for a couple of days and then they had to sit on that information for a week. But as the consumer, I thought it was great because it was like every day I was like, ooh, what previews are we getting today? Ooh, I'm interested in this one. Okay, like let's hear more. So I thought it was great, but I feel like honestly for most people that it came from the actual journalism side, not the consumer side.
Yeah. No, sorry, Fusion, you had something? Or
No, I was basically what Bob said. It was like every day I was excited to see what kind of fun it was putting out that day for the preview, or like what Easy Allies was putting. It was cool that like Monday it was like, oh, Dragon Age stuff, and then like Tuesday it was like, oh, Astro and Horizon, and then Wednesday it was like a Stranger Things deep dive. Not Stranger Things, Life is Strange. Like there was just a bunch of things throughout the week where there was like previews, and like it felt like Summer Game Fest, the aftermath lasted a little longer, which is nice. So like I thought it was cool.
for sure. Last bit of news, this is a quick one. Visions of Mana, Common Games has this, launches August 29th on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, and Steam. I just wanted to ask, do you guys think this is a game that's going to get lost, considering, late August, early September is kind of fucking insane? I'll pull out the list of games, but like...
It comes out the day before Star Wars.
It comes out the day before and after a lot of games, or like the week after a lot. Pull it up.
I don't think it's going to just be Visions of Mana. I think a lot of games are going to get lost in the shuffle. And only one or two are really going to stand out by the end of it. I think that's just going to be the nature of it.
Did they say if this was on Game Pass or no?
No, they just Xbox had a marketing right.
Wow, so Moon lied to me all those months.
It was a weird thing where it was on the store page for a little bit that it was on Game Pass. I think that was just a fuck up on their end.
I'm so disappointed.
You said you're disappointed?
I mean, it could come to Game Pass later.
Yeah, but then I won't care.
True.
I want to point out something. So August 16th is Madden NFL 25. You know, Fusion's losing his.
No, I won't be playing it this year.
College football.
They called it Madden. They called it Madden 25. That's all I'm excited about. That's
But
so funny to me.
I know I'm really not like I don't plan on getting it this year. But I don't know if you saw, Bob. They dropped news today, and they have 3 new commentary teams. So they have 3 new commentary teams. They made a new scoreboard. Like they took the ESPN Monday Night Football scoreboard. They are doing a lot of things that I assume college football forced them into doing. You know, where there was like actually competition all of a sudden. But I'm still not like fully in on it. Like I'm still all on college football, and hopefully college football is just good enough where I won't need to pick up Madden. But it was interesting that Madden did drop a lot of info today. And for the sports fans, for a lot of like the Madden fans, like it is pretty exciting stuff. Like Roger Goodell's in the game for the first time and all this other nonsense. But
That's funny.
it's like still not like it's still all college football.
So yeah, August 20th, Black Myth Wukong. August 23rd, Concord. August 26th, World of Warcraft: The War Within, which we're all jumping in on, I know. And then you get into August 29th, which is Visions of Mana. August 30th, Star Wars Outlaws. September 4th, Age of Mythology Retold. September 5th, Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. September 6th, Astro Bot. September 9th, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2.
You forgot August 29th, Squirrel with a Gun.
Dude,
come on, Wolf.
That game would have gone crazy.
Integrity.
That game would have gone crazy in like 2015. Those type of games are so fucking lame now. No one fucking gives a shit. Oh, we run on a squirrel. You guys are not cool. You guys are not funny. Okay?
Okay.
We're tired of that.
Don't bring up squirrels around Wolf anymore. Damn.
No, that game pisses me off because I keep seeing it's like viral. It's like this game is trying so hard to be viral. No one will talk about it. I promise you. Your game is lame as shit.
Vibes.
No, do not bring up Ghost Simulator. That's actually a good game. Not this fucking squirrel with a gun bullshit.
It's a platformer.
It's kind of cute.
He's not good. Do not hype up squirrel with a gun.
I would never play this video game, but
anyways, that release calendar is looking fucking crazy, as I just outlined right there. I feel like Visions of Mana, like I agree with Bob. I think that's gonna get lost in the shuffle with a lot of the games coming out around here. I mean, what do you guys think is gonna like come out of the?
Well, it's gonna get lost in the shuffle for a lot of people, but all of those games for the most part are so vastly different genres, dude. Like there's not much overlap in the genre category for a lot of those games. So you're gonna prioritize the genre that you're really into. Like if you're the open world Star Wars guy, you're gonna go to Star Wars. If you're the platformer, you're gonna go to Astro Bot. If you're the JRPG, you're gonna go to Visions of Mana and all this other stuff. So yes, it's crowded and it sucks for people like us who play a lot of genres. But I think for a majority of people, they only are into a genre or two, and so they're gonna have at least one game during this onslaught that they're gonna be into, and they're just gonna ignore everything else. And they were gonna ignore it in the first place.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Late releases either, but yeah, Fusion, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't know. I'm not trying to come off harsh on Visions of Mana at all, but like, no matter when this game was coming out, it's not some showstopper. It's not some like game that people are running to their WalMarts and GameStops to get. Like, I feel like Visions are still like they're not Final Fantasies, and even Final Fantasies anymore don't sell very well. So like, I think they'll be fine. The people who want to play Visions of Mana, we're gonna get this game August 29th or July 7th. Like, it didn't matter.
I think the only thing to push back on with what Moon said is I think if a game comes out, one of these games, and it ranks in like the 90s, it'll get enough attention that people who may not have had it on their radar will now have it on their radar and maybe pick it up over one of the genres that they would normally be interested in.
Reviews and positive word of mouth and everything sure are factors, but I think just looking at them in a lineup.
Yeah, these are no. I'm with that. I did forget to bring this up earlier. Concord didn't get any preview coverage. It wasn't at SGF, but her Lego Horizon and Astro Bot were. I feel like that's a little weird, considering I feel like Concord is one of those games that you kind of need people to preview to like get on the sticks and say, oh wow, no, it's actually really fun. It's actually really creative and interesting. But it just didn't get any coverage. What do you guys think that is?
I think that's only because they have a beta in a few weeks.
Yeah, I think they're leaning more on the positive word of mouth of the beta if it gets it.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's all our news. We do have reviews of the week, just quick ones. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance sitting at an 89. Very high scores. I'll say this, I'm not too surprised. I think Atlas usually hits it out of the park, and this just seems to be another strong re-release of SMT5, which was already rated very highly.
Shout out Jack for his fantasy team. That dude just keeps getting like 90-point games out of nowhere. I'm tired of it.
Fuck that guy.
That's awesome.
A 90-point game, actually. Destiny 2, The Final Shape, sitting at a 94. Currently,
Wow.
I think right now, highest rated game
It
of
is
the year.
Yeah, the highest rated game.
Rebirth into dirt, man. God bless.
Oh man, Bench is not gonna like that.
But no, it's I'll just say it right now. I didn't think they'd pull it off. They pulled it off. Okay, Fusion, you're still believing in Dragon Age.
I was fighting. I was fighting for Bungie, and I'm so proud of them. I haven't played the DLC yet, but
you jumping in? You want to?
I want to, but like I said, there's just so much is happening right now, and I just can't. I can't jump in right now. I want to at some point. Like I hear this is like the best expansion they've ever made, like point blank across both Destinies, and I'm like, well, that sounds good. Like sounds real good.
Hardcore of a Destiny guy are you? Like, what are your hour counts on that game?
Not. I wouldn't say there's nothing like between the two games. Probably like 150 or something. I'm not crazy. Not compared to like
you're the campaign guy. Like you just
yeah, I do the campaigns and I try to do like raids and strikes with friends, but I'm not someone who gets on every day and does their dailies. Like I don't take it that seriously. I wish I did because I've never had a game like that where I genuinely get on every day and like do my dailies and everything. So I wish I could, but like both Destiny games, I was always late to the experience. Well, I mean, Destiny 2, I was there day one, but all the DLCs I'm always late to, which sucks. It's just how it works out. It's just how life has worked out. Like every DLC drops and I get it 2 months later. So I've never had the experience where I can consistently get on every week, every day, and like actually experience the dailies and all that.
Sounds great. Well, that's all. Real quick, I just noticed Alan Wake 2 Night Springs sitting at an 84. You think that's?
Dang. I didn't even know it got reviewed.
How you feeling about Night Springs, Fusion? You gonna jump in on that? I know
should,
you said you had to.
I should have. I'm stupid. I'm gonna say I forgot about the DLC, but I should have jumped into this over starting Batman. Nothing against Batman. It's just like I definitely probably would have preferred this DLC, and it kind of slipped my mind for some reason when I started Batman. But like, that sounds great for a 3-hour DLC, 84. Like they're probably happy with that. Like this isn't the big DLC. This was their first one. Like it seemed like good reception. Like I kind of funny or really enjoying it. Like Greg Miller and them are like they were talking highly of it on their stream. So
sounds good. Well, let's move into what we've been playing. Me and Fusion have been slacking. All right, we're not playing any of the big releases. Same with Moon. We just gaming
we're backlog players.
Bro, listen, Sly Cooper came onto the fucking extra. I'm like, hey, I can do a 7th playthrough. Why not? That's way more than 7 playthroughs. I'm obsessed with that game. But our boy Bob came into the clutch to talk about Hellblade 2 again because we haven't had enough talk about Hellblade 2. Tell us all about it, buddy.
Game of the year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Just say it's better than Rebirth, please.
God, I really wish I could.
Like you have the opportunity to do something really funny here.
Yeah, I have to be honest with myself, and as much as I really wanted to like this game, and I really did like Hellblade 1. Yeah, unfortunately Hellblade 2 fell flat for me. It took me like 7 hours or like the standard time. People were saying 5. I don't know how you're getting through 5. You must have been just sprinting through everything. But like I got through it in 7 hours, and let me tell you, about 3 of those felt like the longest 3 hours of my life. I was really in the beginning and the first little bit, and then I just hit like a wall, and it felt like a chore to play, and that really sucks to say about a game. But I just didn't like the overall story direction that they went with it. I mean, the cast of characters are fine. That's just not what I think I want out of a Hellblade story. I care a lot more about Senua and her kind of, inner demons and stuff kind of close to home. I didn't really care about the companions or this. I mean, the giants were fine, but the other overarching story elements I just didn't really think mattered that much. Nor did her psychosis seem to matter as much as it just kind of felt like more narrators, and it's still really cool, but it just I don't know. It all just kind of fell flat. But above all that, the not the combat itself, but because obviously plenty of criticisms have been thrown around about that, but like the actual like call them arenas you fight in, there were genuinely cool like not cinematic elements, but just like themes. Like there's one where like you get like that deep music where they're like kind of chanting and it's really low and ominous, and there's like fire being spit out in the background, and just really cool set pieces in that regard. So that made like the combat that's not that great more interesting. And then of course the visuals are just phenomenal. I think the way I could sum this game down into a sentence is I pressed the screenshot button more than I did the attack button.
Oh no.
So that's where we're at with Hellblade 2. If I had to give it a score, yeah, unfortunately I think I'd have to give it a 6.
No, you tied with me, bro.
Yeah.
Can you say
I think he just copied you, Fusion.
Yeah, you probably did.
I didn't actually listen to the episode that you talked about it because I didn't want to get it spoiled.
You were a bigger defender than me. I kind of defended like Hellblade 2. I did like the pre-hype. I thought it was like something was off with it. Obviously, I'm not asking you, do you regret being such a big defender, because you were a very loud defender of Hellblade 2 before it came out. But like, what were your thoughts? Like, did you fully believe? Like, you did say you walked away disappointed, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Because I felt the same way. It sucks when you're like saying, because like that sucks to always say about any game, but like it's so weird where it's like I go back and forth, and it's like I feel like part of me wants to say like no, I wasn't disappointed, but like looking back, it's like come on, like you were disappointed, you just don't want to admit it.
Yeah, I mean, there were parts where I was so just uninterested. I was looking at my phone during cutscenes, and it's like that's never a good sign.
goat.
Yeah, like that is
That was his game of the year.
Yeah, and it's not so. My disappointment doesn't stem from it being, the fact that they didn't make it a bigger game or they didn't add anything. Like I've been the part I defended, and I will never like sway from is I didn't mind another Hellblade. I just think the direction they took is not really where I wanted it to go, and I just didn't connect with it nearly as much as I felt like I connected with the first game, and I think that's where it fell flat. It's not necessarily the combat, whatever, the visuals, great, but it's not disappointment that it wasn't like some AAA Sony Naughty Dog game. It's just it didn't hit like the first one did, and that was disappointing to me.
I think like just the mistake was just trying too hard to be a prestige title. Like I thought about that criticism where it's like maybe they were going way too far when it came to trying to be very much, for lack of a better word, Oscar bait, award bait. Maybe they were thinking too hard about that, or am I overthinking it?
I really don't know. Because yes, obviously they were trying to, have a experience, your favorite word, Wolf, an experience type game.
Yeah, really.
Where they're trying to tell a story and really trying to make you connect with the characters. I just think that it's a thing that always seems to happen with sequels, where sometimes people don't disagree with where the sequel goes, and it's just as simple as that. I think if they made it more self-contained to Senua again, and with her, I mean, granted, she still has struggles in this game that she has to overcome herself, but I just didn't like the companion or other people you meet along the way, like, at all. Like, I had no interest. Like, they even almost put like a love interest in, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, this is just not what I was looking for in this kind of game.
Is Senua best performance of the year?
Okay, that honestly,
Oh man, because you and Fusion will fight about that one.
Oh wait,
I'll tell you that.
no. Wait, sorry. Yes, this year. Sorry, I had to think of what I've played this year. Yeah, I do think she genuinely was really really good. And some of the like screenshots, because again, this was all like mocapped, and some of the screenshots I was able to take, and just the reaction on her face is breathtaking. I mean, truly, she is like a just awesome character. And I really do think, I forget the actress's name, but she did a fantastic job.
Oh,
I will say that was a good performance.
I disagree, but that's where we're at.
That's okay.
No, I
That's
really,
true.
I don't disagree. I think I said, I'm trying to remember.
You said you didn't like the performance.
No, I
Fusion.
didn't say
Don't let
that. I said I
down.
thought her performance was better in the first game.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, no,
That's
you're right.
fair.
I think her performance is better than. My only pushback was with Paris on Kind of Funny, where he was like, "It's one of the best performances I've ever seen." Like, he was hyping it up before I played the game, so I guess I was expecting too much. And like, I thought the performance was good, but also I played 2 other 2024 games this year, so I can't compare it to a lot. Like, sure, it's better than half of the performances in Rebirth, but that's not really the type of game the Rebirth is. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so it's. I need to play more 2024 games with like actual like out there performances to know if like she's going to win it. But I'm sure she'll be nominated.
And I think too, like honestly, she's at an unfair advantage in the sense that like just how in depth of a performance it is. Because like sometimes the performance is literally just your voice, where she's doing everything. She's acting. She's doing all these facial animations. She's like the entire character. I mean, it looks a lot like her. And some of these games, you look at like Ben Starr last year in Final Fantasy 16. I love Ben Starr, but like he wasn't like doing the mocap for Clive like this actress was for Senua. So yeah, it's a weird thing to kind of judge in that sense.
We will see. Bob, what's this about Steam Next Fest demos? Please don't talk for like 8 hours about.
No, you're good. You're good.
Roll with
They're
the
very
gun.
quick. They're very quick. But it is topical because Steam did have, they usually do this around Summer Games Fest where they have Next Fest. And it's demos for a lot of indie games, some, bigger games, but mostly for indie games. And I think Moon, you actually played a couple of these. But I was just going to go down the list real quick. Metal Slug Tactics had a demo up. I only
baby.
played.
Let me hear it.
Yeah, no, I only played like I think 45 minutes. It was about 2 or 3 levels, and I stopped because I was like, I like this, and I don't want to keep playing. Like this is good. I like how they're leaning into the Metal Slug universe. Even though I'm not like too familiar with it, but great art style, great overall vibes. I think the mechanics are simple enough. They're it's a tactics game, but I think it does enough to differentiate itself. So yeah, I was a big fan of it, and I installed it because it's like I'm gonna play this, and I want to save that experience for the real game. Parcel Corpse was another game. This is what I call a Jeff Grubb game. So here's my elevator pitch.
Oh, I heard about this one. Yeah,
It's
tell me about it.
Crazy Taxi meets Jet Set Radio with like sprinkles of Trials.
I don't believe you. I don't believe that it's Crazy Taxi.
No, Crazy Taxi. The Crazy Taxi part is probably the closest comparison, because it really is like it's literally you're on a bike and you're doing parcel delivery. So it is genuinely Crazy Taxi. But then you get Jet Set because it's like you parkour with the bike and you can ride on walls and you can rail grind and do all these different things that traverse around the map. And then because it is on a bike, there are just some bike elements that reminds me of Trials, but not in the sense that you lean back and forth, but I think it's just more so I'm on a bike. But I was actually that was a great just mess around game. Big fan of that one. What the Car? Okay, so this was the one where it's like the car had the legs and the arms and the face. And we were like, what is this game? And then you guys tagged me in it because it's like, of course, Bob's going to play this game. And I did play the demo. And it is very good. But it's not a racing game.
Called What the Car?
Yes, it was called What the Car. It's so the closest comparison I could say is it was like the Astro speed runs where you had a start and a finish. And the camera is top down and you're looking ahead at the
Oh,
path.
this one looks sick. I remember this now.
It genuinely was a lot of fun because kind of like Astro, every single level there's like a variation to get you to the end, and it's literally speed runs. Like you have a clock, and it's bronze is this time, silver is this time, gold is this time, and it was just a fun variation and just like stupid ridiculousness. So I had a great time with that one. That was another one where I played like the whole first world, and I could have kept going. I was like, nah, I'll wait till the full game.
That sounded sick. Wait, is it have a release date for this year? Because this looks awesome.
I think it says coming soon.
No,
Okay,
there is a
so it's
date. I
not
have
this
it on
year.
my calendar here. It is where to go? I just had it. Fuck.
September
you
9th.
figure that out.
There it is, September 9th. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
September 5th.
Damn, September 9th. Just
There
delay
we
it a
go.
couple weeks.
Another one. Throw another one in the list.
All right, not on the same level, but still, yes, it's on the same level for me because this looks sick. But anyways, anything else?
Three more. I'll go fast. Fumes was the one I was telling you about, Wolf, like the pixel art one that kind of looked like Death Stranding. Did not get any Death Stranding vibes. It controlled really weird, and it's more just like you're shooting cars in a desert. Kind of missed the mark for me, and it controlled really bad. I think their controller support is very weird. I think this is meant to be a PC game.
You can't say Death Stranding vibes without playing Death Stranding. Can you get on that already? Because like that would literally be your favorite game of all time with the way you play games, Bob.
working on it. But I only say that because like I do know the general purpose, or like at least the very top level gameplay loop of Death Stranding, and I thought this was going to be another like package delivery and kind of the Wasteland where you have to like fight off, whatever. But it's just literally car combat. I was like, all right, I'm out because it also controls like butt and just yeah. Sorry, I mean it still kind of seems promising, but I just really hate the control scheme on it. Wizard of Legend 2 is that co-op Hades style game, and let me tell you, it plays very very similar to Hades. And obviously the kind of the pull here is that it's co-op, so you can play this at the same time in the same level with friends. But coming off of Hades 2, I'm like, this is just not. It's missing that extra little touch, and it's no one's fault because I think they still made a great game and there's a great foundation here. It's just not Hades 2, and that's no one's fault.
It's a tough ask. That's a
Yeah,
tough ask.
Exactly. It's just, I kind of feel bad for these guys because if this came out like a year earlier, I think it would have been a lot easier to get into. But that comparison exists now with Hades 2, and it's hard to get out of my head. But still, I enjoyed my time with it. I'm saving the best for last, and the last is Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, which is a racing game. However, I downloaded this demo, I loaded up into the main menu, and before I could even hit play, they made me sign up for Nancon. They made me sign up for an account for a company I have literally never heard of and will never use again, just for the demo. I'm like, hey, I'm good. Like, I don't need to play this, so I uninstalled it.
You didn't even play it?
Yeah, no, I literally uninstalled. I'm like, listen, you're not gonna for a demo. Like, you guys should not make me have to make an account for this. Like, this is ridiculous. So I uninstalled it.
Does Uplay make you make an account for demos?
I would expect that.
That's interesting, actually.
I don't
For-
know. I
what-
looked
what
up
is the-
gameplay on
what's
YouTube.
the
This looks
angle?
sick, dude.
For Uplay?
That would be crazy if Bob just missed out on his game of the year because he didn't like the demo alone is his game of the year because he didn't want to make an account.
Well,
Oh,
I mean, the
God,
thing
make
is,
one.
though, like, I thought I was gonna like the Crew Motorfest.
No, this
And-
looks like better.
Sure, I mean, the graphics look better, but like, I think it is really hard to nail the
this
Horizon strategy. And I think the actual driving is a big component of that. So, I mean, I will patiently wait for reviews, and if people are like, "Oh, this is better," like the Crew Motorfest is my barometer. If people are like, this is like that," okay, then I'm gonna pass. But if they're like, "No, this is a step above," then maybe I'll go back and make the dreaded
I mean,
Nancon account.
I haven't played the Forza game in a while, but I'm watching the man get out of his car, actually be able to like be the player and walk into a club right now. Like, I don't see Forza doing that.
Things are heating up in the racing game fandom. Oh shit!
Like, this dude is popping bottles in the club.
Wait, that's actually sick, dude. That's always my problem with racing
Might be
games.
GTA.
Let me get out of the car. Yeah. Wait, hang on, Bob. Yo, this actually looks sick. What the
Oh,
fuck?
bro. This
I
is
mean,
so
listen,
cool.
if you guys want to go download the demo and tell me how it is next week, be my
Well,
guest.
Can I use your email for the Nacon account?
Nope.
Oh.
You'll get a
Just make a
couple
fake
viruses.
email.
I mean, I could. I just don't want to go through that. It's a demo. I should
No,
not
I
be
feel
having
it.
to
I
sign
feel
up
it.
for anything. Like, just give me the
Bob,
game.
I'm telling you, you're missing out on your game of the year because this looks
No,
awesome.
I don't think I am.
It's been the 13 years in development. Like, you
It
have
was
your own
13
house.
years.
Like, this dude has his own, like, he's waking up next to his bed. He's changing his
It's
clothes.
literally GTA without the violence.
Don't
Like, what
say
the
it's like
fuck?
GTA. No, it is not.
It's
That's
the
very
GTA
close.
without the violence.
Just because you
Did
can
not
get out of
believe?
your car does not make it GTA.
That's generational for car games,
Oh
if you
my
ask me.
God.
We've been waiting 13 years to be able to get
out of the
car.
car. I've been locked in here for 13 years. Like, let me out.
Oh, that's the best way possible to end it. Oh, thank God that'd take us out, man.
All right, so that was a fun-filled episode talking about previews of what the last half of the year looks like for us. It's going to be a weird year for games. So many weird releases, but that's what makes it exciting. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know what you're excited for down in the comment section below. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers. We're only 5 away now. Last I just looked a couple minutes ago. So, thanks for all your support.
I promise something at 1,000.
So, as I said, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next week. Have a say good night, everyone.
Good night.
Can I play this test drive unlimited Solar Crown game?
Taking it
Let us know how
Jeff,
it is.
out of your room, dude.
He's hungry.
I'm Jeff Keighley. I'm Jeff Keighley. Quiet. Sorry.